Welcome, beautiful divine masculine and feminine darlings. This is the Seraph Angel Gypsy, SeraFae Indigo Empress, and Shiloh Horizon. I don't plan to be here for too long, but I did just have some dream prophecy. First and foremost, the word marred came up. Now this was in reference to a karmic who feels like their quote-unquote good name has been marred. This could very well pertain to Robert Van Horn or a situation like that. It doesn't have to be that exact person or situation. But just as an example, this could be Robert Van Horn, the crooked lawyer, or somebody like Robert Van Horn, the crooked lawyer. And they feel like, or he feels like, theoretically speaking, in relation to this, I marred his good name. I'm air quoting, good name. I marred his quote-unquote good name by telling the truth about what he did. More specifically, that he is a law-breaking criminal and he's not a good lawyer. He's malicious and he's not nice to innocent people, and specifically he targets people he thinks are vulnerable, and more specifically than that, that he thinks are easy targets, like women and children, or people who are disabled, or people that he disables because he attacks women and children to the point that he disables them. True story, bro. Needs no dragons and shit. Because that's what he did to Aspen and I. Did you ever wonder why I hashtag SOS for Aspen? There's a reason. She's being kidnapped by pedophiles. After almost a decade of that abuse, don't you think you might be disabled too? I tell you what, you lack understanding of psychology and you're delusional if you think you wouldn't. Because my pain threshold is wickedly high, abnormally high, and I promise you, I'm a lot stronger than Van Horn, that little bitch made ginger. I have kids with no drugs on purpose by choice. Fuck off, dude. My pain threshold's higher than yours. You little bitch. Have fun with that bar complaint. And let me tell you what, dude, that one's the least of your concerns. Marred my good name. No, told the truth about how you're a shitbag. There's a difference. But the other message that came through was that how, although karmics feel like me telling the truth about how they have, or anybody, it's not just about me and it's not just about these people, but I do have a personal example as a divine feminine who's had local karmics trying to kill her. People are looking at these karmics and saying that they might feel like their quote-unquote good names have been marred by the truth coming out about the fact that they're actually pretty bad people, inherently speaking, observationally speaking. But now people are saying that not only are their names not being marred, it's just that the truth is finally coming out, but they feel like their names are being marred, these karmics, after a light worker had to speak up and tell the truth, because the karmics were quote-unquote besmirching the light worker's name. So karmics try to trash talk and slander and bully and abuse light workers, right? They try to, let's say, abuse a divine feminine and her child, and then when they were injured from the abuse, besmirch them, call them crazy, tell people that they injured themselves or that they were just broken and injured the whole time, even though there's record including medical history to show that mother and child were perfectly healthy, comparatively speaking, before these people decided to abuse and injure them. So their smear campaign doesn't line up with the facts, medically speaking and otherwise, nor the timeline. They may have tried to Munchausen by proxy a situation, even going so far as, I've seen this before, true story, bro, needs no dragons and shit, hiring crooked doctors to lie for them. Yeah, Robert Van Horn paid a grimy crooked doctor who's facing malpractice lawsuits hundreds of dollars per hour to sit in court and lie for him on June 12th. And I've got the transcript. She even lied 3 times in a row in an hour on transcript in a court of law, trying to tell a judge that I never contacted her while they were trying to hide the records of what they were doing that I already had court-mandated rights to. Meaning they were trying to illegally hide evidence of their crimes, including specifically in this case, medical records of their Munchausen by proxy. And then at the very end of the hour, after this so-called doctor lied 3 times and said that I never contacted her, when I called her out at the very end, then she changed her story and said, oh yeah, you did contact me. Yeah, but why did you lie about it 3 times first? Ma'am. Because I've got that video clip. I've got that transcript too. Okay. So what's happened is that the Karmics were besmirching light workers' names. They were slandering light workers to get away with their crimes and cover up their crimes against the light workers. They were lying, saying the light workers were the problem at all. Therefore, they were claiming that their abuse was justified, or they were claiming that the abuse wasn't happening, that the light worker was making it up, or that they were just inflicting it upon themselves, which is, again, delusional. And that's also narcissistic victim blaming. Also, do you know that victim blaming is another form of abuse? And also, do you know what kind of person victim blames? Only an abuser or an enabler of abuse. Oh, and guess what? Enabling abuse makes you an accessory to abuse, so you're also an abuser. Bye. Psychology. Check yourself. You clearly wrecked yourselves trying to wreck other people. Karmies. So what's happened is the Karmics were lying about light workers. That's what people are saying. They tried to besmirch the light worker's name. And the light worker had to speak about what happened, and the light worker had to tell the truth and expose the lies. Now the Karmic feels like their name has been marred, but their name has not been marred by the truth. They were lying. Their reputation, their fake reputation has been shattered, because they wanted people to think that they were a good person when they're not a good person, and they wanted people to think that they're a good person while they hid all their bad deeds and evil corruption and criminal behaviors, for starters. But that's not a good person. So their good name is not being marred. They don't have a good name. They had a cover-up. They had a smear campaign, a bad one at that. You should care more about your character, love, than your reputation. That's where Van Horn and people like him went wrong. The light worker marred my good name by telling the truth about what a terrible, evil person I am. Okay, so you should have cared more about your character than your reputation. You know why? Your character is who you are. Yeah. And you're a shitbag, Van Horn and co. But your reputation is who people think you are. So what you're really mad about, you marred my good name, is people know that I'm not the good person I claim to be. You ruined my reputation because you showed people my true character. And that's on you. Because I wouldn't have had to show your true character if you weren't abusing people like the monster you are. Enough said. Thank you very much. They marred my good name, the Karmic said when the truth comes out about them. But you see, the only reason the truth had to come out was because they were besmirching the light workers first. Isn't it funny when those tables turn? It's not so funny for the Karmics when the rabbit has the gun, is it? Stop chasing and hunting people down. Okay? So now that that's been appropriately addressed and established, let me throw my hair up in a ponytail. We'll get to business. I have a couple things to do while we multitask. Hi, baby kitties. You need something? You You know what? Maybe we can do that. Let's do a reading. Let's set this table up. I wasn't planning to do this. Here we go. Turn on the light. That's cute. One of my viewers, I'm picking up one of my subs feeling, I don't know, excited. Honored at being able to be read for. You're so funny. Whoops. Hi, baby keys. Oh, no. Get down. Every single time you do this, get down. Just want to be all up in your face, Mom. Yeah, but you come here with your tail and you flick everything off the counter. Stop. Come here. You need something? You need more? Let's go. Over here. Watch out. Or can I help you if you're under my feet? Move, please. Come on. No bob and weave. I know you said it. Okay, I got you. Out of my way, please. Not under my feet. Thank you. I'm just so excited. It's not your fault. I'm not mad. Watch out, watch out. I saw a flash of a reading, 2 of them, mini readings last night, or more specifically 2 grimy people to read about, more specifically because they've been playing in Lightworker's energy, so I'm going to grab those decks too while we're here. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak. Okay, baby kitty, ready? Karmic says, she's too good. She's not upset. That's weird. That's really weird. Yeah. Why isn't it working? There's a karmic male who's trying to laugh, but it's a cover. He's actually sweating. I pick it up behind it. What do you mean it's a cover? It's one of those narcissists who feels like they need to play the tough guy. Like, they target people's vulnerabilities. Yeah, they lack empathy, so they lack a full spectrum and range of emotion that your typical empath has. And as a result of not being able to process, feel, or understand that level or depth of emotion, they look at us as if we're funny because they don't register in their brains that they're the odd one out. The reason that they can't resonate with us on that level and that they don't understand us on that level is because people with that diagnosis that they have actually have smaller brains than we do, and more specifically, the empathy center of their brain, which is a separate section, it's either shut off or non-existent, comparatively speaking. So they think, ew, Lightworker, you feel feelings that I don't feel. You have vulnerabilities. But it's because their brains are not big enough or developed enough to have the capacity to process empathy and what we're feeling. You see, what empathy is a triggering of something called mirror, M-I-R-R-O-R, like when you look in a mirror, a looking glass, mirror neurons. So let's say an empath like me walks up on somebody who has just dealt with a death, a grief in their family, or even just simply they've bumped their knee and it hurts them, okay? Somebody like me is going to walk up on that person and immediately empathize because I can feel their pain. What mirror neurons are is an ability of one empath to understand what the other empath or the other person is feeling, not necessarily an empath, because their brain is able to pick up on the neuron function and reaction of that other person. So this is why if you see somebody hurt or sad as an empath, you may feel hurt or sad for them, because you understand that your brain and the neurons in your brain are mirroring that person. So you can understand what they feel, but a narcissist doesn't have that. This is why they project and they guess and they judge and they try to manipulate based on their perception of fact-finding, which is really just being nosy in people's lives where they don't belong, so they can find ways to try to mess it up. For starters, pretty much. Okay. I'm not buying it, but that's what they do. So mirror neurons, they think there's something wrong with us. It's because they lack even the function within themselves to recognize that they're short-sighted, short-functioned, and have a problem, but they do, diagnostically. It's not an insult, it's just a fact. But they're the odd ones out. Okay. So, hold on, let's see. Before I crack into this, which one was which? I feel like this one. Okay. I've been picking up this energy about dirty cops. In particular, there's been one in the last couple days, Jared Hardy. Now, I've dealt with him a number of times myself, seen the crooked nature. I've also seen a tourist who came here years ago post a video on YouTube having complaints about him. And then I also stumbled across somebody within the last, different person, stranger to me, otherwise, comparatively speaking, a few weeks ago, within the last few weeks, another person who Hardy has caused problems for. So he's just not a nice person, and there's a pattern, whether it's local or tourists or anybody. And you know what I find is also he especially targets people who are different minorities, women and children, people who are, I just heard exerting their rights, yeah, well, or people in the LGBTQ. So he seems to be just this very stick in the mud, straight, white, bigoted, dirty cop. That kind of person. It's giving white supremacist. It's giving bigot. And that's exactly what I told his boss. Now, the reason that this is coming up is because I've been picking up over the last couple days, again, this is not new, but they're still fixating on it, clearly. Because I keep letting it go, but they don't. Is they don't like the fact that the truth about who they are is coming out. Besmirched, she marred my good name. No, she told the truth about who you were because you tried to slander and besmirch hers. Thank you. So I have been picking up that there are dirty cops who are upset that the truth about them has come out, especially since they're facing consequences for being corrupt, or they will be. And now they want to turn around and have the whistleblowers falsely arrested because they want to punish the whistleblower for speaking, and they want to have them entrapped or locked up so they can't speak. This is somebody who's willing to they feel you're come up, so they're trying to set people up. They want to create false narratives or false allegations and false arrests, or make something look like it's not, to justify and claim that they've got the right to target somebody. But it's really just to silence a whistleblower. So, I'm not going anywhere, Hardy, but you're going to rot in prison. Nowhere but up in life for me, and I sure as heck out of here. This is a suckhole, and you can stay here and sit in prison together. Yeah, see, these haters can't do shit to you. Bye, you bald-headed bitch. Not to be rude, but the other day when one of these other people had an issue with a cop, they said, yeah, and this cop was A, B, and C and not nice. And I said, oh yeah, which one? I don't remember his name, the bald one. I said, oh, Hardy. He said, yeah, that was his name, Jared Hardy. Well, that wasn't hard to figure out. I don't think it took a psychic to see that one either, you big-headed bimbo. It could land a plane on the top of that thing, but there's nothing inside it. Hello? Housekeeping? You want a meatful pillow? You want French kisses? Fuck you. Those are for good boys and girls. But I will say turn the lights out because you're wasting electricity, you big-headed idiot. Toodles. Leave people alone. Hardy, more like hard ass. And X is the one sending negative energy towards you. Yeah, well, guess who decided to start making false police reports about me and ganging people up against me because I wouldn't go near him or let him touch my ass? Salty bitch. Oh, guess what's on the counter? I told you. Salty bitch. No. Salty bitch is trying to get a reaction from you, and that's hilarious. And your attention. Yeah, they're just mad because we're doing well and they know they're about to be in trouble. Locked up, they won't let them out. No, so they wanted to flip the script, but that's your fate, not ours. Karmics. Get up in it. No, you can get right up in a prison cell that you earned for yourself. See ya. Demons. They feel your come up. I bet they do. I'm the woman that, when my feet hit the floor in the morning, the devil says, oh shit, she's up. Yeah, the devil fears and respects me. Thank you. I have support from both realms. A seraphim. I heard that. Top tier, top ranked. Bad bitch on my team. Here's the thing though, trying to copy me won't work for you, because if I'm following my destiny, which I am, and following my life path is not going to work for you if it's not your life path and calling. You're going to be fighting against destiny for yourself by trying to copy me as I'm following mine. 1. 2, you fail to take into consideration my level of divine favor and anointing. Again, it will not work out for you, and in fact you will get karma for trying. Thank you. 2222. In fact, let me read you a little clip in an excerpt of my destiny path. You don't have to take my word for it. And I didn't find this and follow it. I found it after I was already following my path. It just happened to parallel what I was doing. Okay? Let's go. Got my book here. You know I love my books. I heard that bell for Beauty and the Beast said. Right? There must be more to this provincial life. Oh, what did I say? Look. The top of this stack. I haven't gone through these ones yet, but there it is. Wanting to have people falsely arrested so that they can keep being dirty cops and criminals. No, not today, Satan. Never forever. Guess who I share a life path with also? Mr. Fred Astaire, who's also a Gemini. Interestingly enough. Okay. Individuals on the way of expression come into this lifetime with spiritual faculties that allow them, that would be me, Halo, I'm reading my destiny path, not only to look into the hearts and minds of others, including the ugly ones, Van Horn and Hardy, not only are they highly empathetic, we talked about that a bit, but they are so well developed that one may ask, what were they up to in previous carnations? Well, darling, I can tell you because I'm also a past life regressionist. Cognizantly. And I have, in a number of cases already, in fact. Cheers. Blessed with many magical gifts, the individuals on this path are fated not only to be in touch with unseen realms, but to express their visionary views. Hello, and it's why they're mad at me for it. But guess what? They're mad at me for fulfilling my destiny path, and guess what? That's why God's upset with them. I don't believe in God. Well, guess what? The universe believes in you and will kick your ass regardless. Thank you. Universal return. In the streets, we call it vibes. But guess what? In science, we call it quantum physics or Newton's law. Checkmate. Down. Those on the way of expression are called to be prophets of sorts. I'm not making it up. Prophets of sorts. Thank you. Often found in the arts, these people must learn to manifest the unseen as the seen and tap into spiritual realms, to draw from them and create an end product for others to share. Now you see that, whether it's me being here, whether it's singing, whether it's dancing, whether it's art projects, I have a number of ways. My gifts are being prophetic, charismatic, and affectionate. Should those on this path accept the task of being prophets of their time, they must hone their intuition to razor sharpness, as you see that I have done, and summon the kind of courage which you see that I have gathered. I'm speaking here, aren't I? Summon the kind of courage needed to speak to the public at large. It is their destiny to become a spiritual medium or channel for the benefit of society as a whole. Right? Although this can be done with words, those on this path may also find forms of physical expression for themselves. Again, singing, dancing, artistry of varying degrees. To accomplish such a highly personal journey and plug into alternate forms of energy, they will need to spend a great deal of time alone, and that's why you see me dipping back out a bit. Letting in the light of spirit through meditation and prayer and maintaining a positive attitude, while at the same time developing the strength and willpower to contact the shadow side when they choose to do so, is critical to survival, since care must always be taken whenever other forms of energy are released. And that is why you see me come here and spit some hard facts sometimes, yeah? As it says, although many wonderfully romantic and imaginative energies swirl around those on this path, the path necessitates diving fearlessly into the more dark and perilous areas of their own psyches as well as those of the collective. So while they don't want to hear the hard parts sometimes, it is my calling to speak on it. So you're not mad at me for fulfilling my purpose. You're mad at God, and that's your problem. Whatever beef you've got with God, it's not about me. You're a copy. And now I'm the OG. I stay low-key to keep my blessings on me. I don't need to be seen. You hear me? You got the message? That's why I don't always need to be on screen, nor do I need to be online. Thank you. You're welcome. As much as the individuals on this path would like to totally withdraw from the outside world, periodically, sometimes, for sure, it is usually their destiny to eventually emerge from their periods of going inward to share what they've experienced with the world at large, as they are naturally shy. This may prove difficult at first. Because they really prefer to be on their own a great deal. It is the irony of their fate to attract many friends and admirers. In this way, life is quietly ensuring that they will fulfill their task. In addition, their personalities are of such seductive and affectionate nature that they will almost never be at a loss for lovers or other admirers. Constantly surrounded by adoring fans who subconsciously are seeking to touch that which these souls connect with on a regular basis. Hello, Spirit. Those on this path may find it difficult to have as much alone time as they need. Thus, early in life, they will need to develop the willpower to isolate themselves periodically. They will need to force themselves to go out into the glare of public spotlight. In their social profession or family groups, they are likely to establish high standards and over the years guide the development of the groups to which they belong in matters of taste and advanced thought. People do not see those on this path very clearly, largely because of the charismatic aura that surrounds them. It will be to their more intimate friends that they will be most likely to reveal who and what they truly are. Due to the emotional and psychological depth of their spirits, others may not understand them easily, and I'm perfectly fine with that, but what I will not be taking is your misjudgments from your lack of deeper and expanded greater awareness. Thank you. That's your issue, not mine. It's your fault that you can't properly discern who and what is in front of you, not mine that you misunderstand me. Toodles. Your judgments are none of my business. Misjudgments at that. That's your problem. And your karma. You're not correct anyway. Why would I care about what you think? You save your misjudgments. Usually they're projections anyway. A few close, discerning, and empathetic friends with whom they can be themselves with will be crucial to their development. In love, their sexual experiences are deeply transformative both for themselves and their partners. The way of expression is akin to, notice it's called the way of expression, yeah? And these people are mad at me for speaking up and being a whistleblower, but it's deliberately written in my destiny path. Too bad. Suck it up and deal with it, sir. Be a man and rub some dirt in it. If you know, you know. The way of expression is akin to Pandora's box. Also, why trying to follow in my footsteps is not a good idea. Not only do you think that opening Pandora's box because I did was a good idea, which it was not, but you see, I've got the strength and the skill and the destiny path to close it. You do not. You're going to open a box of shitstorm for yourself that you cannot close, and that karma will swallow you whole alive. You'll drown in it. I am a reader of the Akashic records and have the capacity to transmute karma. You're creating it for yourself by trying to copy me and step on my toes. The way of expression is akin to Pandora's box, open perhaps out of curiosity, but perhaps also out of a need to see the truth. And that's not, why are you copying me? You don't want to see the truth, Karmics. You're trying to bury the truth. What are you doing? 3333. That's why you're catching hell for it. Because that's what you tried to put other people through. Say less. But two problems emerge once it is opened: how to close it again and how to deal with the wild spirits that have been released into the world. Yes, I have the capacity to do so, though. It's written in my destiny path. It's not in yours. Those on the way of expression. Oh, we did that one. In many ways, you're welcome, by the way. Such individuals are our representatives, and we are spared the exalted agonies they endure for us. Often when I go through and I transmute a wave of karma, if anybody else goes through that lesson point, I've already neutralized the worst part of it for them. And unlike me, they have somebody to help them walk through it where I had to stumble through it, pioneer it alone. Thank you. Which is also why I share the truth. I know for a fact that often what I've gone through, my life story, has become the survival guide and the map for other people, right? You be the lighthouse. First of all, how else will all your other weirdos know how to find you if you don't let your weird little light shine? I hear, let your freak flag fly. Yeah! I like freaks, I don't care if you're a wild one. Nope. But Also, if you illuminate the path, not only can your other weirdos find you, you help show them where the rocks are so that they don't crash into them at the base of the lighthouse. You can guide their way safely in a way that you did not have somebody to guide you through, and that's what I do. It's why I do it. 3522. We are spared, you're welcome, again, the exalted agonies that they endure for us. So I clear and I transmute the depth and the brunt of that karmic cycle before, on a milder level, it goes and spills down. It's called the spill down, the seraphim spill down to other people. It's not as bad, and you have help like I didn't. You're welcome. I know some of my people are truly gracious and grateful here, and I'm sending you love, but some other people, usually it's karmics, who don't belong here anyway, they're pretty nasty about it. And I would say, you know, not the first thing, nor could you handle what I handle. So, toodles. Immensely expressive, Fred Astaire displayed effortless sophistication in both his dancing and acting. By dedicating many solitary hours to developing his talent, which is also what I've done. I spent a lot of time by myself. Astaire was able to cultivate his signature style and then, as is typical of those on the way of expression, share his magical gift with his admirers. Do you know who Fred Astaire is? He was talented. He's a very, very talented, gifted dancer. I really like Astaire. There are a few that he did. He did some stuff with, I believe, is it Judy Garland? He did some stuff with Rita Hayworth. There are a few dances that he did and a few people that he danced with, and I really, really like those ones. I have a few favorites. Like, my favorite song thus far to date by Judy Garland is one that she did with Barbara Streisand. And it's, yes, the song, but it's not the song. It's their banter at the beginning. It's their very pure and authentic interactions with each other. It's them as people that made the song special. They're just so cute together. They just did so well. They fed back into each other in a good way, a healthy way. Astaire deftly maintains strong separation between private and public life, thereby reaching the balance point of this karmic path. Hardly at a loss for adoring fans, this dancer carved out a unique niche for him in show business. Now, it's been a double-edged sword for me because while people often don't understand me and my life is none of their business, I have been called to express and to outline a lot of this. I've had to whistleblow publicly about local organized gang crime and corrupt people in the system. So as much, in fact, when I dealt with this crooked court, as I have been for years, the first year I said nothing. I said nothing about any of these people, not the court, not this, nothing. Because I had planned to get through it and then eventually write a book about it when I came out of it. But then God said, no. First of all, you need to speak on this now. Second of all, there are people going through this now, or aspects of this now, that also need to know, one, that they're not alone. Two, that there is a way out of it. Three, that these behaviors from these people are not okay. So yeah, you could get through this and survive it and come out on the other end and tell people what you went through. But there are people who need to hear what you're dealing with now so that they know that it's not okay, they're not alone, and that they can get help to change things for themselves. So I do, and I did. It's not ideal, wasn't ideal, but that's when that whistleblowing started. I was quiet. I said nothing about any court cases or anything for well over a year. It wasn't until I realized that the judge was crooked and tied in, actually friends with the family of these criminals, because it's such a small town and a small place, which is illegal. It's a conflict of interest. It wasn't until I realized, after many court dates and a year of being dragged through a system, only to find out that the judge was friends with the criminals on the other side of it, that I started speaking up, because it wasn't a fair court case. It wasn't legal. And I knew I wasn't the only person going through it. And I wasn't. This same court did the same thing to my mom and I when I was a child that they turned around 20 years later to do to my child and I. No, you're going to pay for all of it. So I had to speak up on it. It wasn't an option or a choice not to. It was a liability not to, and it was a legal and ethical requirement to do so. You see, if I were to remain silent, Albert Einstein said, I would be guilty of complicity. But also beyond Albert Einstein, there is a law that was passed through Washington. It's called SHB 1236. It's one, there are no spaces in between it. It's one code, SHB 1236, and it's called a failure to report. Now, people are being hurt through the process of this. Either these people are being hurt as a result of the crimes being committed, or the crimes being committed are in attempt to cover up the harm, which is probably secondary crime at that point. The harm being done being the first crime, and then the cover-up of it being the second one. However, hi babies, I love you. There was no resolving the problem if it wasn't addressed. You can't address a problem if you pretend it doesn't exist. And if I had not spoken up about this, I would be technically an accessory to their crimes. But you see, they've been holding my child hostage and, sexually assaulting children, damaging children, and then trying to blame those children and throwing them in mental hospitals as if that's going to fix anything, which actually just creates further isolation and trauma, which is the problem from the beginning. It's not making it better. They made it worse. You see, but if I were to be silent about that, I would be just as guilty as they are for doing what they did, according to law entitled SHB 1236. I will not be part of that. If you say nothing, you're legally an accomplice, and I will not be an accomplice to those crimes, any of those crimes. So there's that. There's also a law that the FBI has a webpage on. This one is called United States Penal Code, or USC, section title 18-241 or 241-18. It's called Conspiracy Against Rights. It's when two or more people gang up on someone to violate their rights or restrict their movement and what have you. Now, these people have had me falsely arrested twice for whistleblowing. Now, I was able to beat those charges because I could prove that they were lying and I'm telling the truth, but they still tried to put me in a spot where I couldn't tell the truth. They've also ganged up in groups to stalk and cause problems and harass for years repeatedly. That's a violation of that as well. And then they filed financial fraud, a number of different frauds, but financial included, to steal from me. And then as a result, try to have my license, my driver's license, suspended. So yeah, they've definitely been restricting people's movements, haven't they? That's a crime. According to the FBI, that's a crime that's punishable by life in prison in the states that don't have the death penalty, or the death penalty in those that do. Mind you, some of them do. Colorado still does. In fact, I don't know that they use this, but Colorado still has their death by firing squad law lined up, at least in the legislature. I'm not saying that they use it. I have not heard of anybody being put to death by firing squad in a very long time. Certainly not in my lifetime that I'm aware of. Certainly not in the U.S. But while they don't seem to use it anymore, they do still have it, so they could, technically, if they wanted to. And guess what? I had some people, yes, in the state of Maine causing problems for me, but then those people recruited other people that are out of state. The people here had recruited people in Colorado and other places to attack me. And Colorado, you see, still has the death penalty. I could drop some names, but I won't. What I will say is that there were cheerleaders that bullied me in high school, and they thought that that was a good idea to come back around again 10 years later and pull some shit. Especially over a minor child. Oh, bitch. Wrong move. 44. So this would be Jared Hardy I was picking up on. Bald-headed idiot. Collecting dirt on you. What dirt? What dirt? What dirt? You have no dirt. You know why? Because I don't do dirt. You do. It's why you're looking for shit with other people. You expect others to have dirt, Hardy, because you're a grimy person. Stealing your ideas and pretending they invented them. That's funny. Oh, I know. You cut them off and they're still watching because they can't help it. They're obsessed with me. Their finances will perish. I've been seeing Hardy get fired. I've been seeing him get called out by his boss. As he should. Not surprising, I did call his boss and let him know what he's been doing, including the fact that tourists have been complaining about him on YouTube and that he was hateful towards the LGBTQ plus community last week, and also the fact that he's been, frankly, an asshole to me. Let's see. He thinks it's funny. Yeah, I do. I think you're stupid. I think you should have left people alone. Exactly. I know what's coming for you. You keep trying to bother people, but that's why you're in trouble. So sure. Prove my point, as you did. I think it's stupid. These people go around complaining about the fact that I'm speaking the truth, and they yell, I didn't do that. I never did the things that she said I did. But then in order to try to retaliate against me because they're mad that I spoke up about what they're doing, they do it again. Except for at that point, people are already watching them. And so they're saying, I didn't do those things, while people are watching them do it again and they look dumb. I would call that caught red-handed. Also, again, what dirt? Trying to collect dirt on you. What dirt? I see you're all muddy, but you trying to fling dirt on other people does not equate to other people having dirt, kid. I don't want your phony apology. You stay the fuck away from me. Because you've been trying to terrorize people for being gifted, and that's also why you're in a state of living hell, nor will you get out of it. You tried to avoid drama, but they're pushing it. Stand up for yourself when you need to. Exactly. I'm not marring your good name. You don't have a good name. You had a bad smear campaign against other people, and you had a facade. You had a persona of a reputation. But the thing about that is your reputation does not mean shit when your character is garbage. Always care about your character more. Yeah? Because when your character comes out, and if it shows that your character is shitty, it doesn't matter what you thought your reputation was. Your reputation is who people think you are. Yeah? Your character is who you really are. Be better. Oh, don't worry, I will. That's why I can say that with my whole chest and mean it. Because I already do. Yep. This is why I'm making this channel as well. I know that they're trying to have people falsely arrested and set up, and I know why. So now, if they try to do that, well, here you go. Here's the exposure. And also, often, when you call criminals out for the things that they're doing or they're planning to do, often they're spooked to the point where they don't want to do them anymore. Like, for example, when criminals want to rob a house, I've seen documentaries on this where convicted criminals got out of jail and then went on a podcast to explain, people who used to, career criminals, rob houses and things like this. They went on this podcast to explain to people what they, as a criminal, or what criminals that used to be, or more specifically, this is somebody who got out of jail, cleaned up their life, but they were exposing how they used to run, and more specifically, how criminals that are still being criminal and stealing from people still run. So they said that if they were looking to target a house, they would look for ones that didn't have dogs, because it would be less of a threat of attack. They would look for ones that had their lights off. It looks like there was nobody home, less of a chance of getting caught. In some cases, especially if these are people who know you or they know of your social media, there's warning from some safety or tech companies about not posting your vacation 4922, unless you have somebody house sitting or you have family staying or something like that, to not post your vacations until after you get back from the vacation, because sometimes there are criminals. This is what this other criminal, this ex-con, said. Sometimes there are criminals who will look at your social media to see if you're on vacation, and if you're on vacation and you're posting about the fact that you're on vacation, they know you're not home. And they know that probably it'll be easier to break into the house. So sometimes they use social media to screen whether or not that they should commit these crimes. But again, if there are lights on, or there's somebody home, or there's a dog or something where they're likely to get hurt and or caught, just caught in general, not even necessarily harmed, but arrested for theft and trespassing at least, they're more likely to skip that house or skip that target. So unfortunately, while it's not nice to have to take up space and time to address these assholes, it does block them from doing these things, because now that they've been exposed, they're afraid to go commit the crimes. Or when they do commit the crimes, I told you and I warned you, and here it is. Ideally, it just spooks them out of doing it, because they shouldn't be doing that shit in the first place. They'll expose. I told you. I didn't do those things. Well, people are watching them do it again. Yeah, they don't know how to communicate in a healthy way. So they're nasty. Fake support you. And so let me tell you a little situation about Jared Hardy. For years I've been abused, and he's been supporting and enabling the abusers. He's not been helping victims, innocent women and children, but he's been helping convicted criminals. Why? Because I would say he is one. Yeah. Fake support you. Now, the one time he showed up in my driveway with a smile and pretending to be nice were when my parents were outside, but otherwise he's a dick. I think it was because he had witnesses. They were standing outside. 5122, and he was also delivering he had a big grin and smile on his face because he was delivering phony paperwork. Okay, one of these criminals who's been targeting me and involved with harming my child, and also one of the criminals who told me that there have been drugs being done and sold around my child by the same people who've been forcing pills down her throat. This is a minor child, by the way. All of these people are going to prison together. And individually, but together. When it all falls down, telling you all. Okay. He showed up with his big smile on his face because one of these criminals, after I exposed them for being involved with these crimes and harassing me and targeting me with others, including stealing my mail to screen my mail for financial documents and court paperwork, which only comes through the mail, by the way. One of these idiots decided to play the victim and claim that after I told the truth about what they've been doing to my child and I, and who they've been targeting us with, like convicted domestic abusers who've already gone to jail for domestically abusing me before. So it's not an argument. They already pled guilty to it and wrote me a letter apologizing for it from the jail. I still have it stamped from the jail with their seals and the envelope it came with. Still stamped. Okay, so I'm so sorry I treated you that way. That was the message from jail. From this person. But then they got out and decided to target me with other people. Now, one of these people, when I exposed them for their involvement in this, they decided to play the victim. Oh, she's harassing me. She's harassing me by telling the truth about what I've been doing and who I've been involved with attacking her with. Except for I was telling the truth. So what this criminal was doing was complaining that when I told the truth about their involvements in crimes against me, that I was lying. They were trying to lie and say they were not involved with the crimes that I can absolutely prove that they've been involved with. And so when I was whistleblowing about the fact that they were committing crimes against my child and I, they were claiming that since they said it was a lie, that I was harassing them and I wasn't telling the truth, even though I am. They committed crimes against me, and then they tried to slander me when I told the truth about it. They filed a protection order against me for telling the truth about what they were doing to my child and I, and claimed that they needed protection because they didn't want me to talk about the things that they were doing that I can prove that they're doing. So I've got every right to speak about it, and frankly, SHB 1236, legal requirement to speak about it, but they've got no right to play the victim or cover it up. They never did. 5433. Well, that didn't work out. Okay. In fact, I mentioned the mail fraud thing. What happened was they screened my mail, so I never got court date updates. So I didn't know that I needed to go to court one day. And because I did not go, right, this criminal filed a faulty protection order to shut me up. It's called a gag order. They didn't want me to talk about the nasty criminal things that they were doing. So they claimed that they weren't doing them and that I was lying about the fact that they were doing them, even though I can prove it, so that they could claim they needed a protection order. Now they went and they asked for this protection order, but they also screened my mail, so I did not get the court date, the actual calendar date to go to court. And when you do not go, you do not show up to court, it's called a defaulted order. So what happens is if you don't go, whoever's asking for a ruling against you, a judgment against you, just because you're not there, will likely get it. They don't have to prove what they're saying. They don't have to prove anything. Just because you aren't there, often it will go in that person's favor. It's called a default or a defaulted order. And so this is a tactic that criminals use. They set up court dates, and either they've got people in the system, in the clerk's office, who don't send out paperwork, or they've got people in the mail room, in the mail postal system, who screen the mail so you don't get your paperwork. What social security information goes through the mail and only the mail. Court papers go through the mail and only the mail. Often banking information goes through the mail. Yeah. So that's why they screen people's mail, which is wildly illegal. That's a federal crime, by the way. 5622. And so they screened my mail. I didn't know that I had to show up to court to defend myself. And because I didn't know, they gave this criminal what they were asking for. But I knew what they were doing. So I went back and I told the court what happened. And I asked for a retrial, a rehearing. And it was granted. And this person did not get what they were asking for when I actually got to show up and speak the truth. But they still tried. And they screened my mail to cheat to do it. If you have to cheat to win, you're a fucking loser, okay? You're disqualified. Fraud. What dirt? I've got plenty on you, though. Greasy pigs. Darlings, my collective, we don't wrestle in the mud with pigs. You both get dirty, and the pigs like it. Speaking of dirty cop, the pigs like it. 5722. Next. All right. So there's that. Anything else? A requirement to speak. It didn't work out for... No, it did not work out for them. When I actually got to go and show up and speak the truth, what they were asking for was thrown in the trash. Because they had no right. And guess who recruited that idiot? Which is why we don't want you back. None of you. Because they tried to lie, but it got exposed. What's behind that? Let's see. Yeah, see, they can't anymore. They cannot feed off of your confidence. And they can't play the victim anymore. What was that other one? They see your true potential and are threatened by it. It's not reversal, but hold on, I'm picking up cross channels. Yeah, see their hat. Okay. Yep, there it is. So this is what I was picking up, a cross channel. They see your true potential and are threatened by it. I'm like, this is yes in reverse, but also no. So what they were trying to do is create problems for you and then make you look bad so that they could say it was your fault. They try to fuck you up and then say that you fucked yourself up. They're happy over your fuck-ups. They stalk and harass and make a mess, and then they blame you for the mess. No, because what's actually behind that is this, spiritually trying to attack you, and then the return to sender backfired on them. So they are threatened. They wanted to intimidate people and project back onto people, but that's backfired. So they are threatened, but people are not threatened by them because we see, we see that they're punks at minimum. Yeah, and this is why nobody trusts them. They don't even trust each other anymore. They're turning on each other now. They're lacking in it's your fault that my money's suffering. No, you try to step on people to get up in life. That's why. that's a temporary gain. And then the karma that comes back from that will cost you much more than you thought you were going to gain, especially by stepping on good people. Haters looking to... I didn't touch you. You don't have to step on people physically, you idiot. Tried to step on people's toes, spiritually speaking. See? Trying to... That backfired on you, didn't it? You're stupid, Karmics. You're stupid. Why did we do that? Because you thought you'd get away with it. Kiss your kids goodbye. That's what you get for interfering with other people's. Anything else you want to tell me about Hardy? Okay, so back to that. I broke down that side channel about that interference and the defaulted orders and what have you. But Hardy, the only time he was happy to show up and put a smile on his face and it was a fake nice, but right, gloating, trying to gloat, because he was delivering fraudulent protection order paperwork for that person who had their family steal the mail so I wouldn't know when to go to court so that they could get a defaulted order on what they wanted, which I refiled for and was thrown out because they lied. But the one time that Hardy showed up and wasn't a dick was when my parents were watching. So he had to put on a nice face, although it was a fake nice. It was weird. It was just not his normal demeanor, and he's not a nice person, so it was a red flag. When an asshole is suddenly pretending to be nice, it's a red flag. What do you want? What's your angle? What's your motive? This is not who you are. What are you doing, dude? Well, he was trying to pretend to be nice in front of my parents, who were witnesses. And he was happy because he was delivering fake phony protection order paperwork to target me with the people that he's been ganging up on me with and not protecting my daughter and I from. That's what happened. Yeah, you're talented and they're not. I mean, obviously not. If you have to go to that extreme, you're not a good cop. A good cop would never have to be dirty to get what they want. How are you going to do that? How are you going to try to step on my toes, which requires being in front of me, but also you're trying to copy everything I do by following in my footsteps. You can't follow in my footsteps, which requires you to be behind me and also step on my toes at the same time. It's why you keep tripping yourself up, trying to trip me up. And I'm always 10 steps ahead. You cut them off and they're still watching. I know. You know what I pick up about this is when they try to do that retaliative thing, right? I stand here and I speak the truth confidently and it intimidates them. So they try to play the tough guy thing, but you see, I'm not. I know what I'm saying and I mean what I said. So I stand confidently in the truth. You're the one who has to try to move yourself around to adjust, Karmic, because you're threatened by my confidence. I think that's funny. And so they try to feed off of it more specifically by, okay, well, she's confident and I'm not confident. Let me pretend to be confident. Let me pretend to be this tough guy energy. Yeah, okay. Except it's authentic from me. You're full of shit. Evidentiary. Nobody gives a fuck. I don't check on these people, but they stalk me every day. I either have them blocked or they're not important enough for me to even know their names or check their social medias to block unless they force their way onto my feed or my algorithm and I see them right there. You know, you're just not even worth it. Just stay gone. No, Karmic says, you don't have a choice. Yes, I do. Shh. Thank you. I called divine intervention, judgment, and justice on that. Also, I called for these Karmics to be sat the fuck down and stay seated. Well, that's mean. No, it's not. That wouldn't apply to you if you weren't trying to ruin other people's lives or bark up their tree. But yeah, I'm calling justice and judgment. If you want to be a nuisance and a mosquito, I'm calling for the big guns, the big bug zappers to come out, and you're done. Parasites. See, you want to be a nuisance, that's fine, but you're going to be removed immediately. We're not playing that game, nor giving you the time of day. You're just mad because you suck. But guess what? If you weren't trying to step on other people to get up in life, you wouldn't be falling the way you are. And if you actually built a foundation truly, authentically, and correctly, again, you wouldn't be having this issue. But they don't. They try to destroy other people's foundations to build their own, or steal from other people to build their own. It's why they have none. If they do, it's fake. It's weak. What is that? What am I seeing? What is It's like an IKEA. I've never been to an IKEA, but I've seen those big giant IKEA stores, like the big ones online. There's a YouTube user that I know, and she went there to get furniture with her boyfriend. He's German. She's not. She's from Asia, and so she didn't understand how they could do like 1 year returns and still make money off of their furniture and stuff. But then she realized that you have to put it all together yourself, and they've got the food court there and all. Just like, oh, that's how they make their money. Yeah. Well, so what I'm seeing is an IKEA. It's like a furniture store. You know how sometimes they have those little rooms set up, and it's just an example of what a bedroom could look like with the furniture, but they set up a little corner of the room or of the building, and it looks like a bedroom, right? They have this little corner of their store set up to look like a bedroom. So they've got a table on the side and a bed, and all the furniture in the place is for sale. So it's just showing you what this furniture would look like in a bedroom setup, kind of giving you a mental image in front of you. But what I'm picking up is that the Karmics, oh, they do this, don't they? Okay. I'm seeing another thing too. I think influencers, some of them do this. They will rent out spaces to do photo shoots. More specifically, there are places that I guess that some of them can go where it looks like they're in a plane, but it's not. It's like it's a room inside a building that it's just set up with props to look like they're on a plane, or to look like they're in some kind of place or setting that they're not, right? So there are buildings, and the people that own the building have these different rooms set up to be different themes, and then the influencers can come in, I guess, and rent out the rooms and take photo shoots in the different themed rooms, so it looks like they're at some kind of adventure, when they're not. They're just renting out a room that has basically a green screen or something with it. And it might not be a green screen. It may actually be set up to look like with real furniture wherever they're claiming to be. But it's like this. The light worker is really living their life. They actually have a legitimate bedroom set up. They're actually traveling. They're actually doing something. And then the Karmic is pretending like they are in a bedroom or something, but they're in a little corner in IKEA, or with the example setups, or they've rented one of those rooms out to take photo shoots, and they're claiming that they're on some kind of private jet, but it's a corner in some kind of industrial building at the corner of some street that has rooms set up to look like they're in different geographical locations. It's fake for Instagram or something. You're flexing for the gram, but it's fake. So it's like they're claiming to have just bought a new house, but they're really just taking pictures of themselves inside a what is this called? An example room, or like a mock bedroom or something that's in IKEA. I bought a new house, but really they're just taking pictures in a furniture store. And they don't want people to know about it, but we already do. Be aware of the attempted setup. We already know. Yeah, we know. They're mad because you pay them no mind. Why did I do that to her? Because you thought you'd get away with it. You thought you wouldn't get caught. Anything else? Anything else you want to tell me about old Hardy? Old hard-headed over there. They're happy over your fuck up. Like I said, the only time he was smiling was when he was delivering fraudulent paperwork for people that were trying to dodge their crimes by falsely pointing fingers at me. And even plagiarizing my victim story at that, on levels, which they always do. The thing about that is, though, I can prove that I went through what they put me through, and I can also prove that they're lying and plagiarizing victim stories. But that wasn't a fuck up. That wasn't my fuck up. That was somebody filing fraud against me. And guess what? They're in trouble for that. This is somebody who targeted my child and I that filed those papers. 7022. They targeted my child and I. And then had the audacity, when the truth about what they were doing, targeting my child and I, coming out and who they were involved in doing it with, they said, oh, the truth coming out about what I've been doing to her and her child, it's just not going to look good for me and my kids at their school. Or, oh, yeah, I know I've been working with people to mess with her and injure her and affect her finances and income and her child's stability as a result. But yeah, the truth coming out about what I've been doing to them is going to affect my job. I could be fired when my bosses know that I targeted Alexis and her daughter Aspen that way. Yeah, you could, and you will, and you shouldn't be around kids, in fact. But you see, they want to complain that them being in trouble for targeting us is going to affect their jobs and their kids, but they didn't give a fuck that they were affecting my job and my baby while they were targeting us. So don't you think that's a little hypocritical? 7122. And that's on court transcript, and they didn't think about that. But yeah, now that's documented forever. Stupid. But they tried it. Except they don't tell the full story. So sure, take out the trash. If people can be turned against a light worker, those were not our people, 1. And 2, make sure you have the full story. Because they don't. They cherry pick facts that they think make people look bad and make themselves look good. But you see, if you actually went to the light worker who's being gossiped about and you had the full story, you'd see that it was actually whatever that the karmic was trying to say, but in reverse. So if they were trying to claim they're the victim, they're not. They were trying to claim the light worker is an aggressor, it's the opposite. But they don't tell you that part of the story, right? They want to tell you how the light worker is just so unhinged and how they left, or how they had to push us away, or this or that, when actually the evidence shows that they were continuing to chase us after we were stepping away from them because we noticed their sketchy, two-faced behavior. Oh, the light worker was just unstable. I don't know why they left. I was so nice to them. But they don't want to tell people that you caught them stealing, or you caught them being shady or two-faced or something first that made you have to walk away. Or, oh, yeah, I had to push the light worker away because, when in fact, you walked away from them. I've heard it both ways. In fact, that person who filed phony orders against me, in a message to me, they said, you pushed me away. But you see, this person chose to ally against me with people who've already gone to jail for abusing me. So why would I stay near you? Why would I go anywhere near you? And why would I let my kid around you? That's stupid. That was a stupid question or thought process of you, idiot. 7322. But then when it came time to lying and playing the victim to a court of law, they claimed that they had to step away from me because it was of this and that. Now, what happened was I wasn't dealing with the bullshit, and they got upset about it, and I stood my ground and stayed stern, and then they decided to stalk me with other people instead and send people to steal my mail. I had to walk away from her. She's just aggressive. No, I got real stern when I realized that you were allying against my child and I with people who've been convicted for abusing us. But you see, that's why I walked away. Now, the Facebook message from this person told me, you pushed me away, you walked away from me. But the court papers from just last year have the opposite story. They claim that they pushed me away and that I won't stay away from them, and that me telling the truth about how they've been stealing my mail and won't stop stalking me is harassing them. But again, the things they wrote on court paperwork does not match up with the Facebook messages that I still have from years prior. So, well, that was dumb. Perjury's a felony crime, bitch. Stay seated and kiss your kids goodbye for trying to fuck with mine. Also your career. Bye! Because you're the one who should be scared. I know.
This is also somebody that before I walked away from them, I went over to their house and I had 2 oracle cards decks in my backpack, and one of my one of my oracle decks went missing out of my bag. What was even worse than that was that the particular deck that was stolen was an angel deck. That's a no-no. But these people think that they can claim anything, any kind of divinity, spiritually, entitlement to me, claim over any. No, you have no stake to claim. Say no, say less. Should have left my child alone. Should have stayed the fuck away from my home. Now you're gonna rot in prison. You'll end up there with the worst of them, like Bundy and Dahmer too. You wasted all your time trying to tamper with my life. Okay, so this is Robert Van Horn. No, I don't. Yes, I do. Fucking annoying. Tantruming little tot. Toddler-ass brat. No, I don't call children brats, because children are not brats. They're children. They have an excuse. But Robert Van Horn is too old for that shit. Especially since he has a toddler or kid. That's a no for me. Shielded. No need for spells. We'll do some energy therapy before I go, though. Does anybody want some Reiki? Hi, baby kitties. I love you so much. Hi, honey. Little honey bunny. I posted about that yesterday. Van Horn is according to him, a single dad, and I don't know if he's divorced or separated, but I noticed around the time I noticed that he was seeming to be self-proclaimed single dad and not with the mother of his child, he was really keen on targeting me. So I think what happened was he broke up with, or his mother's child, or the child, the mother of his child broke up with him, or they separated, and he was going through separation with the mother of his child and dealing with custody stuff between him and his child and the mother of his child. And so that's why he was extra keen on trying to target me and my child. Yeah, because he wanted to try to, I see this all the time. People try to force the outcome for other people that they want or would have wanted for themselves. So let's say you've got a karmic male who wants access to their child or custody of their child, and they're having fights with the mother of their child. They'll go and they'll target another woman and try to help a abusive person get access to the woman and the child, because that's what he would want in his situation with the mother of his child and his children. And so that's what he tries to get for other people, even if it's not what's good for those other people, even if it's not the same situation. He's projecting his own situation and his own desires for his situation into trying to force feed an outcome to another. I see it. I called it out last night. I'll link that in the description box below. So there's that. And I feel genuinely bad for the mother of his child, because if he was willing to treat me and my child this way, imagine how he's been treating the own mother of his child or his child. I feel bad for both of them, because he's not going to change. And usually what happens is eventually the same people that are causing problems like this for others and have no problem targeting other people's daughters and what have you, they usually end up doing it to their own. Even if it's when they're older, they usually end up doing it. Let's say that his daughter grows up to remind him of her mother. Well, then he starts targeting his daughter because she reminds him of the mother. And he's upset with both of them at that point. Narcissists are narcissists. And we're not letting them back. Yeah. See, they want to complain when they get in trouble or when we call them out for what they're doing. Like we're the problem. like the whistleblowing on what they're doing is the problem. But if you're such a big man and you're such a responsible person and you think that it's okay to make those decisions, then you need to stop being a bitch and you need to take accountability for making those choices. Yeah? You wanted to make those big adult bullying choices, so take the L for the heat that it comes with as they're cleared out. Envious of your career and the money. I make more money than Robert Van Horn. When I can work my job, I make more money per hour than he does. I know he's mad. 80-22. And I said this yesterday. He's a traveling lawyer. So he goes from town to town, to jurisdiction to do lawyering. And I'm not saying that some lawyers don't travel just to travel. But I also know that there are plenty of lawyers who don't need to travel because they've got plenty of work coming to them. And they can stay in their central location and have either local business come to them, right, from plenty of customers in their own town, or they can have people come to them from out of town, but they don't need to travel out of town to go to other people to meet clients. But when you have somebody like Robert Van Horn, who's a crooked lawyer and does grimy things, I would say probably has to scrimp for money because he's being an asshole and God's not blessing him for being an asshole, which is why he feels like he has to steal from other people. 81-22. I would say that's why he has to travel sometimes hours and hours for a case. Because otherwise he doesn't get enough clientele, right? He has to travel for hours just to go find new clients because he's such a shitbag. They don't just come to him, not in the quantity that he wants or needs. I would say that that's my observation, speculatively speaking. And then there's that. So I would say also, since I did call it out yesterday, negative energy doesn't have to be spell work, but this is somebody who's mad that you won't deal with them. I don't deal with these people. That's why they had to heckle and harass and stalk and file false charges. Imagine the only time you can get any kind of access to a victim is when you file false allegations against them and try to back them in a corner of a courtroom. How pathetic are you? Yeah, air sign. So this is either somebody who's negative air sign, or this is because this is somebody targeting an air sign. I'm a Gemini. Wouldn't surprise me if Van Horn had swords energy, some kind of air sign in his chart, because that often represents the legal system, although it's negative here. So it would indicate him being a crooked lawyer. But yes, often the swords have to do with the law, truth telling, but he's not telling the truth. It's why it was in reverse. Why am I here? That dream prophecy? Told you. You marred my good name. No, you don't have a good name. You don't have a good name. You lied about your reputation. I just told people your true character. You marred my good name. No, I just exposed the fact that your so-called good name was a lie and a fraud and a facade. I showed people your character instead because you besmirched mine first. I just cleared the table by telling the truth and balancing the scales back out. They don't have any protection. That was in reverse. This was not. See, they wanted to cause problems and drama because they wanted me to have self-esteem issues because they thought it would bully me into some kind of submission. That's a no for me. So no. So this is either what they're having or this is what they wanted for other people. In fact, look. Robert Van Horn, 84-22, told a court of law that I'm homeless. I'm still standing in the house that I was testifying from on the day that he said that. You can hear it in the transcript. I have uploaded it already, or at least that part of it. But I think they were making assumptions. I know they were. But let me explain to you how much these people were stalking me, okay? They saw the house next door being torn down. And then they saw the storage units going up outside so that some of the stuff from the house could be stored till it was rebuilt. But you see, they didn't know any of that. They were stalking me, and they saw the storage units, and they were stalking my house, my home address. And so they saw the house being torn down, and they assumed that this apartment would also be torn down, and they assumed that I would be homeless. So they made those false allegations to a court of law under oath on transcript to a judge, like idiots. Which is why I laughed at him on the stand. I couldn't help it. Giggle slipped out. First I was confused. Then after 12 seconds it processed in my brain and I laughed at him instead. And I called him out for it. It was slander. But they were stalking me so hard, they assumed that I was homeless, or I would be homeless, because they assumed that, I guess, the storage units were for me to put my stuff in, because they thought I would be homeless and I would need somewhere to store my stuff. No, it was for all the furniture next door in the house that got torn down. None of my stuff is in those things. That belongs to my parents. One of those storage units actually is no longer there because it wasn't even for their stuff. It wasn't for mine either. It was for the construction workers so that they could put their equipment in it every night without having to transport it back and forth from the job site, so that these idiots over here who've been stalking me wouldn't steal their shit. 8622, especially since one of them is actually part of a building company. Not this one. A competitive one, comparatively speaking. But I have had somebody who claims to be part of a builder company stalking me. Why would the builders actually hired to work on this property leave their shit around when I've had people stealing from me and who would be happy to steal from them, especially when they can use the equipment from their job? No. Fuck you. PA-2024-177, 8708. So they stalked my house, noticed little changes like that, big changes, house being torn down next door, storage units going down outside, and they assumed I would be homeless, I would be this and that, and so they made up a whole story in their head and then tried to tell it to a judge. They did tell it to a judge. They were wrong, so they looked stupid, but they tried. And Van Horn did that. Now, I say that all because the leaky roof card came out. Well, that's why that house had to be taken down. Yeah, so they either wanted that for me, or that's what's being dealt to them now, or they didn't know that that's why the house was being torn down next door, or maybe they did. But they misjudged and presumed on the rest, and they presumed incorrectly. Stupid. Dangerously too. I mean, that's not good for them. They lied to a judge based on slander that they made up in their heads after stalking my home address. It doesn't look bad for me. Not my fuck-ups. Your fuck-ups. Crazy? Stupid. 8822. Yeah, see, when shit hits the fan, yeah, I bet they will. Running away because they realized they were wrong. Ooh. Uno reverse. Return to sender. Yep. See, they lied, and they're being caught as liars now. They wanted to slander people to get people to bully. And they did. But they're being cleared out. They wanted people to be sick. That's backfiring. Now they're going to be sick. Uno reverse. They wanted, no, see, when they get into these 822 freak accidents, right? Car crash, or they slip and they fall. It's not a freak accident. That's their karma. They might try to brush it off. I've been noticing that too. Karmics are dealing with their karma now. They're getting karmic backlash. And some of them have not been equating the bad things that have been happening to them in their life, or the things that are going awry, going wrong in their life, with karma for trying to target light workers. But in a number of cases, that's exactly what's happening. It's not the light worker doing anything to them. It's that the karmic is getting karma for hurting the light worker. And it may have been a while back that they hurt the light worker, but now they're catching karma for it now, and they're not putting two and two together, or the particular thing that they're catching karma on now may have been because they may have continued the abuse from that point, but whatever they're catching karma for now may also be something that they did a while ago, even if they continued that abuse. But because this particular thing happened a while ago, again, now that it's finally catching up, they're not putting two and two together as to the fact that they're related. But regardless of when the timeline is and who, they're getting karma for hurting light workers, and some of them have not been associating the 2 points. But they're directly connected. These people wanted other people to be miserable because they're miserable. Well, guess what they manifested more of for themselves? Misery. More things to be miserable over. That's not how that works. Yes, it is. It's quantum law. Quantum law. Taurus, I heard that. You need to shut up and learn your lesson of inertia. One of Taurus on the dark side, one of their lessons to learn is inertia, meaning it's one of Newton's laws, refusing to change or move unless you're moved by an outside party. So imagine you've got a soccer ball in the middle of a field and it just sits there until someone else comes along and kicks it, and then it rolls out of the way. So Taurus is on the negative side. They're often gluttonous, lazy, hedonistic. They want sex and drugs and food and all the stuff, right? Drinks and events and parties and all the stuff. But they get stuck in these toxic tendencies. They like pattern and routine, but if they're in unhealthy, toxic patterns and routines, then, well, that just continues unless something or someone else, like a judge or God, forces them to stop what they're doing and change. Not all Tauruses are like this, but the dark ones do. They are self-admitted creatures of habit, but you see, all this person's habits are garbage. So, hello. Problematic. Newton's law. So there are a few of Newton's laws. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, is one. Inertia is another. But it's the energy of return and exchange. 9222. So they put all that crap out, but it will always come back to them. No, it won't. Okay. Yeah, see, nobody either cares about what they're saying, or they've learned enough to stop doing that. You hear, because people know that I'm talking about you when I run my gums about you, even subliminally, and then they get mad at me for being an asshole. Trying to talk shit about victims that you've been targeting online, or making yourself look like a victim, or, I mean, like, you're just not. I hear monster. People think you're a monster. Well, good. Can't hide the unhealthy obsession. Can't make victims scared. They're the ones who are scared now. Yeah. Can't keep putting bad cycles on people because that's what's happening to them now. They brought their own misery back because that's what they put out. They have no divine connection, no divine support. Jealous, angry, hating on your body image. Here, if I can't have you, nobody else can. This might be a karmic male. Well, two things, who secretly wants to be a female or something. But also, this might be a karmic male who's mad. Here, you look good. You look too good. So you won't be with him, I'd say probably divine feminines. And so he's mad that you look good because he doesn't want anybody else to be attracted to you either. This is so weird and psychotic. I was just going to say, you know what? I dealt with a person years ago who was like this. They were like this when I dated them. Like, they wanted me to wear certain things or not wear certain things because they thought other guys might look at me and think I was pretty or something. I'm like, how insecure are you? Del Rey was, first of all, it didn't matter what other people thought, but if he did notice people checking me out, he felt flattered because I was with him. But he was confident in himself and knew that I loved him and I wasn't leaving. Oh, what was that? Wild as Her, Corey Kent. Although Morgan Wallen originally did that one, I believe. And he says, there's one line in it. Hold on. He says, I'm not trying to fix her. I just want to kiss her, feel a little fire in her soul. He also says, when we're together, I swear that we're not ever letting go. There's one more line though too. Hold on. He says something about those other boys say, she's a goodbye girl and she'll wreck your world and she'll leave before the morning sun. But here she is, free with me because I'm not trying to change her. I'm not trying to tame her love. He's not trying to control her. Delroy was like this too. He was an Aquarius, angel with wings. He liked to stretch his wings and fly, so to speak. But that's the thing, is he understood me. He knew I wasn't going anywhere. Might need to stretch my wings, shake them out a little bit, but it was just because I like to fly. I wasn't trying to leave him or run away from him. I just like to fly. But so does he. And so we like to fly together, and we know that if one of us needs just a second to stretch our wings or breathe, it's just to take a lap. It's not to leave, to go towards anybody else, not to He knew I wasn't going anywhere. He knew I would always come back because he gave me no reason to leave. If anything, he wanted to fly with me. But he knew if I needed to stretch for a second, it was just a stretch. He says, right, you gotta get off the yoga mat sometimes. Can't always stretch on the floor. Exactly. I like this energy. So that's weird to me, because I've been with a beautiful person who wasn't like that. And so this is just garbage behavior from people that do. But I find that weird. We also like to match our outfits. Sometimes we did it on accident. Often we did it on accident, but not always. We'd come out and we'd be wearing the same colors. All right, that works. Hating on your body image. It's just insecure. But they can't copy you. They look like bad knockoffs and liars. You're a bad liar and a bad lawyer and a bad cop. Now you will stop. I called the federal government. You will have no recovery. Stay seated. It's ended. Right in God's line of fire. Hi, baby kitties. What are you doing, lovey? Now, just for giggles, just to be fair, right, since I called out those karmic energies, what do you have to say about me, God? What's up? Protection, warning in the wake of danger. That's why I'm here. Honesty, incorruptibility, blocking evil. Told you, rendering justice, protecting immigrants and those in exile, protecting against thieves and murderers, protecting against diabolical forces, protecting against, hi baby kitty, harmful animals. Not that one. Protecting against bewitchment, magic, and evil spells, allowing us to return to our country of origin. Sincerity likes the truth. End of a difficult period. Yeah, restitution, granting each person what he is entitled to, he or she. Finding lost or stolen objects, thoughts, and sentiments. Succession, inheritance, notary, magistrate. Intuition, study of law and justice, study of history, archives, and the universal library. Practical and theoretical science. Giving and taking. Somebody's asking, so you're telling me that the only time that Hardy showed up with a smile on his face was when he was delivering phony paperwork to you, right? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Other than that, he's an ass consistently and has been for years. Consistently. Not just to me. To any other person that I've spoken with. I've not come across a person who has had a good interaction with him yet. And what's worse about it is when I learn about these people and their unfortunate interactions with him, it's always by fluke. It's always just by chance. They mention that they dealt with a cop and the cop wasn't nice, and it just consistently turns out to be the same dirty cop often. And that's a problem when you've got all these strangers who have the same problem with the same crooked cop who claims he's not a problem, but all these different people have the same complaint. All these different people who don't know each other, who are, see, the thing about these criminals working together, like all these people who've been targeting me, they are all associated. They all have cross connections with their family or their friend groups, their friends on Facebook. But the people, the different people that I've come across that have complaints about this dirty cop, none of them know each other, myself included. Like, we're all strangers to each other. We have no connection other than the fact that we've all just separately bumped paths with Hardy, and he's been a dirty cop to all of us. 10111. These criminals, they're all criminals individually, and they all have been criminal together as a group, targeting the same light worker or the same group of light workers. Yeah, it's not the same thing. 10122. And I think that says a lot. When you have these different strangers who do not have any attachment and don't know each other, who all have the same problems separately, individually, outside of each other with the same dirty cop. But you have all these people ganging up on a light worker or a small group of light workers trying to say, look, it's all of us saying the same thing about the light worker, except the thing about that is they're all friends and they're all connected. So what it is actually saying, what they're actually saying is, look, we're all ganging up and saying the same lies because we think that since all of us are saying the same fabrications, it will sound more believable. And that's not the same thing as a bunch of different strangers having different bad interactions with the same dirty cop that happened to be colluding with that big group of friends on Facebook. That big group of local criminals ganging up together. 10222. It's not the same. And it looks bad for them on both accords. Worse at that. All right. Succession, inheritance, notary, magistrate. And they also did this to steal my inheritance. These people have not just been filing financial fraud in a couple of different ways, including tax fraud and evasion, and also Social Security fraud they've been filing, but also injuring people into qualifying for Social Security and then stealing their incomes, which is Munchausen by proxy, and disability fraud and theft. But they've also held my child hostage and then stole her inheritance when my grandmother died, and mine too. Yeah. Somebody's asking how. Well, when my grandmother died, a cousin and a couple of greasy cousins and a dirty aunt jumped on a plane from Florida for a couple of days, just long enough to come and steal all her gold and diamonds and Louis Vuitton handbags and all these different things, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and also her bank account information. And then they jumped back on a plane 2 or 3 days later and flew back to Florida. But then they also ganged up with local criminals who've been here, who've been targeting me in and out of the legal system and what have you. And they just gave our inheritances to these people who've been holding my child and I hostage in a variety of ways. Not legally, they have no legal right, but the aunt who had access to my grandmother's banking information did not give me my share, did not give my daughter her share. Nope. If anything was sent out, it was given to the people that have been holding hostages. And I know that for a fact in a number of ways, because before my grandmother died, this same crooked, greasy aunt, her name is Stacy Crowley, she went over to the house of these people, including one of the people who's gone to jail for domestically abusing me, has been convicted for it and pled guilty to it in jail. Oh yeah, and then wrote me an apology letter about it from jail, saying that they were such a terrible person, they didn't want my daughter to know them, but then they decided to turn around and hold her hostage after they got out. And that's who this aunt went to hang out with. They went to these criminals' house where there are known pills being exchanged in and out. And there is a dirty salon that's not being health inspected, that's being used as a salon illegally. Oh, and then as a result of it not being inspected and not being licensed, this unlicensed salon, OSHA's not going through there for health inspection, but you see they're not paying taxes either, so that's tax fraud and evasion on top of everything else. And then they also tried to steal my inheritance and my daughter's. So I'm hearing that now. So not legal. No, to answer your question, no, that it wasn't legal. And whether they went through paperwork aspects or not, these are people who went to try to Munchausen by proxy and smear campaign people, victims, trauma victims, as crazy, trying to hide their abuse and then blame the victim's reaction to the abuse as crazy, claiming that people are not fit to have their own money. And if it wasn't legally claiming this, then that was their justification in their head for trying to play God, trying to play judge, trying to play jury, trying to play lawyer, trying to play things that they were not and they shouldn't have been. Okay? So either way, they have to pay that back. That has to come back. Succession, inheritance, notary, magistrate, intuition, study of law and justice, right, divine masculine. There are a couple of energies coming through saying, well, you're not crazy. The light workers that they're talking about aren't crazy. No, they're just criminal. And they needed a smear campaign. And I keep getting a flash of Britney Spears. That's my middle name, by the way. In fact, the evil, wicked, redheaded stepmother figure growing up for me, she used to call me Alexis Britney Spears. I hated that growing up when she did that, but I know what this reference is referring to. Oh, you mean kind of like Britney Spears. You mean the way that they tried to put her in a bad spot and then say after putting her in a bad spot that she was crazy, and then as a result of claiming that she was crazy since they put her in a bad spot, trying to say that she wasn't fit to be in charge of her own kids or her money so that they could steal her money and monopolize her life. Yeah, kind of like that. Meaning like a conservatorship, but without the actual paperwork in place. Yep, kind of like that. Except they used fabricated a phony custody case, a perjured custody case, and a kidnapped child to do it. For starters. And a whole bunch of crooked, grimy people in the system and out. There's a karmic male who's laughing, but this is the one who's been behind all of this, recruiting all these people, and has had his hands in my pocket, and then also abused my child to the point where apparently she's qualifying for disability. But then he filed for her too, and so he's injured and disabled both a woman and her child, and then is also stealing the disability income from both of them. 10822. Oh, he thinks it's hilarious because he hasn't gotten caught yet. But bitch, those are federal crimes, and you're going to rot and die in prison. No, I'm not. If I can't get caught. You already have. It's just a matter of time before that arrest warrant hits your door and they drag you out with cuffs behind your back. 10844. Oh, and guess what, pie face? Your parents are not going to be able to pay off the bank this time because you didn't rob a bank. Bitch, you robbed me and the federal government. So your parents are not going to be able to go to the Brewer Federal Credit Union and pay them off the money that you stole so that they don't put you in federal prison this time. You're going to prison. Because I don't want their money. I do want justice for your bloodlust, and that's priceless. 10922, checkmate. Notary, magistrate, intuition, study of law and justice, study of history, archives, and the Universal Library, practical and theoretical science, giving and taking, administration, accounting, secretarial work, rediscovery of the divine self, of original androgyny, clearing of karmic consent, and elimination of karma. What did I say I have the gifts and the skill sets to do? Read the Akashic Records. Clear karma. Read it. Anything else? You want to tell me about this karmic male who thought it was so funny to laugh? I'd like another card for me too, by the way. Thank you. Victory, renown, celebrity, success, exactly. Expertise, life of devotion, altruism, kindness, receiving the light of God, confidence, enthusiasm, joy. What's wrong with being confident? Oh. Exalted love for divine work, successful initiations, businesses that are useful and profitable for humanity. Can obtain anything from the great people of the world and cosmic organization. Vitalization, inspiration, intense productive life. Antidote against the forces of darkness concerning writing, publishing, printing, distribution, bookshops, orators. And what are they mad at me for? Whistleblowing, when it's what? My calling. Part of it. Beneficial force for intellectual activity, computers, and programming. So kind of like I'm standing here on screen and doing this. Hello. On, but off screen, you. What, babies? What's the matter? Technological development concerning televisions or radio programs, as I'm on screen but off screen like a radio cast. Developing mental faculties in harmony with the imagination and helping understand and reflect upon personal experience. This is also why I often will have specific examples and analogies for you. As far as this karmic goes, seeking to convince, identifying with martyrs, feeling persecuted, fighting what one cannot be, scandalous behavior, failing in one's projects, false virtue based on appearances only, denying one's divinity, enemy of spirituality, mockery, scorn, hatred, inquisition, religious fanaticism. Yeah, see, he's trying to mock people. October 14th to October 18th, May 1st, July 15th, September 28th, December 9th, February 17th, 1:20 p.m. to 1:39 p.m. This one got stuck to the table. I'm going to read it. It's a light worker card. Loyalty to divine principles. Royal attitude. Well, there we go. You got royal bloodline here. Hello. Respecting commitments. Coordinator, pacifier, candor, nobility, granted responsibilities, liberator, universal love, becoming a leader, a boss, a president, and political and social organization. One more, knowledge of good and evil. This came from the center of the deck. Stability, confidence, again. What's wrong with being confident? Oh. High morality, calming, healing illness. Kindness, goodness, liberating the potential buried deep inside of us. Dreams, why am I here? The dream prophecy. Daydreams, high initiation, reunification of the qualities of the body and the soul. I've also made a point to address that the last couple of days. Harmony. These karmics also, I think it was one of the last readings, misunderstood karma. They do not understand how quantum law works, karmic cycles work. In fact, on a little bit of a different, more scientific note with the Newton's and quantum's law references, in this one, I broke that down a little more, but it was a similar energy. Are you trying to force things that aren't meant to be because they think it's manifestation, and then failing to acknowledge that as they're being nasty towards other people, that they're manifesting more karma or more nastiness for themselves. Now they think when we sternly stand up for ourselves that we're being mean and we should get karma for that, especially if the truth we're speaking triggers them and hurts their feelings. But no, actually that's not what's happening. They lied, they created a mess, and we are balancing the scales with the truth. When they decided to cause problems, when they decided to lie, when they decided to, imagine the balance scales here, when they decided to be who they decided to be to us, they threw the scales out of balance, okay? Now they think when a light worker gruffly, distinctly, strongly tells the truth, and we speak about what damages they're doing, and it hurts their feelings, and it gets them in trouble, that we're throwing the scales out of balance. That's what they think. But that's not the case. When they decided to do whatever nasty thing that we have to whistleblow about, which makes them feel like we're throwing the scales out of balance, they threw the scales out of balance. When they decided to be nasty, they threw it out of balance. Now, when we speak the truth on that, we're just balancing the scales back out. But the reason that they think that when we speak the truth on it, we're imbalancing the scales is because they have deluded themselves, delusional, into thinking that they are justified in treating us how they treated us, in committing the crimes that they committed. They don't seem to care or understand that they threw the scale out of balance when they decided to be nasty. Us telling the truth is balancing it. Now, if they hadn't done anything and we were lying about them or running our mouths about them or gossiping about them or something like they've been doing to us, yeah, we would be throwing the scales out of balance. But we're not. We're balancing them when we tell the truth, because they threw them out of balance when they lied and caused problems, or caused problems and then lied about it. Delusional. So when you understand that, you understand that their negative energy it's not just. It's not going to help them, and it's not going to rebalance things after they hurt us. They think that they're right to be nasty to us because we're stern in our defense against them. But you see, we wouldn't need a defense against them if they weren't being nasty to us in the first place. So who caused the problem and who threw the scales out of balance? Bitch, not us. If you can be stern with me, then I can be nasty to you. No, people wouldn't need to put armor on and be stern with you if you weren't being nasty first. You failed to acknowledge that you shouldn't have picked a fight. And they always like to start the story when you reacted, but they like to leave out the parts where they provoked you abusively to the point where you had to react or respond, aggressively, defensively, or not. But that's where the story starts, not when they had an issue with your reaction to their abuse, when they decided to abuse you to cause a reaction. Own it. We're not going to start this at Revelations. We're going to go all the way back to freaking Genesis. You dig? 1:17:22. Now, for those who didn't catch that, most of you will have no clue what I'm talking about, but that's a play on words. Why? Because when my child was held hostage, she was put in environments that she shouldn't have been in. And as a result of that, she was repeatedly abused, including sexually. When one of the people who abused her was an older student that they sent down to my kindergartner in a program they called a book buddy program. And unfortunately, this older student came down, her name was Genesis, and sexually assaulted my child in the kindergarten classroom. And the Brewer Community School has tried to cover that up, by the way. But there can only be, I imagine, one Genesis in that school. And I would say that probably she's being sexually assaulted, because where did she learn that from to try to inflict that on my child? So now they've tried to cover up 2 rounds of sexual assault. One that was inflicted on my child, and then by dismissing the fact that Genesis sexually assaulted my child, they've also dismissed the fact that obviously Genesis was sexually assaulted. So they did her a disservice too by not investigating or getting her help. Brewer Community School in the state of Maine. It's right next to Bangor, Maine. Google it. Oh, and they're called the Brewer Witches. Yeah, their mascot is the Witches. I think that's pretty telling on top of everything else. Of course, they wanted to conceal sexual assault on multiple students. But let's go. Federal government. Come here, babies. Yeah, see, they're mad. What did I say? You marred my good name. No, you have no good name. You had a bad smear campaign on light workers and a fake reputation. I just showed your true character. You marred my good name. No, we told the truth about how you're a crap stain because you tried to besmirch ours first. No. Yeah, they can't do that anymore. These are energy vampires. And they know that they can't compete where they never compared. Now they know. Took them long enough. Yeah, they want to hate, but they can't. They can't help. They want to hate because they're mad that they can't have access, but really they know you're the tits, so really they can't help but sneak love. That's why they copy. If they really hated you that much, they wouldn't try to copy us. Yeah? Why would you copy something you hate? But they don't. They're just jealous. So they hate because they're jealous, but they copy because they really think we're the shit. The tits! 1/20/22. So really it's a compliment when they're trying to sit there and nitpick and provoke. It's because they're insecure. By the way, often the accusations you hear from a narcissist are outlining their own guilt, the insults that they try to speak at you. It's projections about themselves. They're outlining their own insecurities. We're confessing. If you listen closely enough and know what they're listening to. Somebody says she's been through all of that and she still tries to stand here and be here for other people. It's because I have been through what I've been through and because I know how difficult it is that I do stand here for other people. It's hard enough to deal with alone. I wish I had had somebody like me to help me. So I became her for others. Cheers. 1/21/22. As God called me to be. Thank you. Open your hands if you want to be held. Reach out, welcome, and let yourself receive. I wasn't going to pull this. The cat knocked this off of the table. To love without expectations is to be in heaven. Release control, make peace with loved ones. You're not a drop in the ocean. You're the ocean the entire ocean in a drop. Stand out, be the lighthouse. Perspective, bringing things together. Maybe you search the branches for what is only in the roots. Go deeper, look elsewhere. You need more. It's needing more than these karmic situations. Right? These people wanted you to feel like, as they were isolating the light workers, that you were just a drop. You don't make a difference to the entire ocean, but they failed to acknowledge that God says, no, love, you are the ocean in an entire drop. Don't forget it. The salty karmics. It's called saline. What you seek is seeking you. Believe, focus, intent meets with destiny. So two things that looks like an angry eyeball is the karmic. I'll tell you what I'm picking up on. Twin flames, unions coming together. What you seek is seeking you. But you've got these angry karmics who've been watching. Doesn't that look like an obsessed stalking eye? It's all bloodshot. It looks like they've been up all night just spying on somebody and they just can't. They're losing their mind and it's showing in their eyeballs. Stop playing small. Because there's a karmic male angry and ripping his hair out. Because he feels like he invested all his time and energy and in some cases money into targeting the target and it's not working. And also it backfired. Now they're in trouble. Also, there was a message that came out and I didn't show this one on screen, but something about they've been spending their money on spell work that isn't working and they're mad. Stop wasting your money, fool. Stop playing small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion, courage, moving forward, making progress and action. Don't live the stories of others. Exactly. Write your own. Creativity, adventure, and find your genius. So they wanted people to think that they were nice people. You besmirched, or no, what was it? You marred my good reputation. Except, no. You should not care about your reputation. And that's the exact same thing, actually, that the psycho that had her family member steal my mail and also filed phony protection orders, the defaulted order one, yeah, that's exactly what that person wrote in the paperwork. When I told the truth about how they were hurting my child and I and ganging up on us with convicted domestic abusers to do it, it's not an opinion. There are conviction records for these criminals. They went to jail. They have criminal records of this. It's not my word against theirs. It's their lies against their criminal records. And what they're saying doesn't match up with their criminal history. But what I'm saying does, because I'm telling the truth. And what I'm doing is just outlining the criminal records. I'm just narrating the facts. But if you check the facts that I'm speaking, it will match up with what I'm speaking. It won't when you try to check on what they're saying, because they're trying to cover up what they did. But I can prove that I'm telling the truth and that they're lying, and they can't on either accord. They can't prove that they're telling the truth because they're not, and they can't prove that I'm lying because I'm telling the truth. But that's precisely what she said in the paperwork. Something about her reputation. No, you tried to build a reputation by pretending to be a good person while hiding the fact that you're not. I didn't ruin your reputation. You lied about who you were. I just helped people see that by not lying. I just showed your true character, or allowed you to show your true character by not buying the lies. There's a difference. But like I said, you should care more about your character than you do your reputation, because your character is who you really are and your reputation is simply who you pretended to be. I cared more about my character. You see, this is where these people are having problems. They were trying to slander me and ruin my reputation to create one for themselves or salvage their own. But you see, their character, because they're shitbags who do things like that, is shitty. They tried to ruin my reputation with lies. And they feel like I ruined their reputation by telling the truth about it. 126:22. I exposed their true character with the truth, you see. And now, despite how they tried to ruin my reputation with lies, people see my character. And I said that a long time ago. Eventually, people will see the truth. When people cannot control you, when narcissists and abusers at that cannot control you, they try to control how other people see you, because that's how they have control. If not over you, then those other people's perceptions of you, and often how those other people treat you as a result of those misperceptions. But eventually that illusion will shatter. They're seen as the lying assholes that they are for their true character. They stepped on their own toes and ruined their own reputation with that. And they made themselves look worse by trying to sully or muddy our reputations, when our character actually outshines both our reputations and theirs and their characters. So I knew that while they were trying to ruin my reputation with lies, eventually my true character would speak a lot louder, and it has. And it is, and it does. But they can't say the same. Quite the opposite, in fact. And they did, in fact, complain about this, verbatim. In fact, I have it in the filing cabinet. I could pull it out. I don't really think I want to right now, but it's there. And there's a specific line in it. I remember her complaining about how me telling the truth about what she's been involved with doing to my child and I has been damaging to her reputation. She thinks that it's going to affect her relationship with her kids, and because she's been involved with harming my child and I, that maybe her kids' school won't want them around, and you know, her other job, it's going to look bad for her at her job. But they did not care that they were hurting and targeting my job and my child and I. They think that it's a problem when the consequences of that come back and affect their kids and their jobs. But they don't think it's a problem when they're affecting other people's kids and jobs, which is what put them in that pickle in the first place. Okay. Stop playing small. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. Moving forward, making progress and action. I hear you speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. People wanted you to speak or write more fondly of them, and they should have treated you kindly when they had the chance the first time around. Also, when you choose to associate an ally with abusers instead of survivors and victims, you made your bed. You picked a side, it just wasn't the right one. I tried to stay neutral to abuse. There is no neutral to abuse. Abuse is not neutral. Abuse is an imbalance in power and control. That's inherently what abuse is. In fact, if you Google DELUTH, Duluth, domestic violence, power and control wheel, what will pop up is something that effectively every domestic violence center educates about. And it's this wheel of different types of abuse. There's verbal, there's mental, emotional, physical, there's financial. Using the children, leveraging kids is another one. Trying to isolate people is another. So no, all these tactics that they did while claiming that they were neutral are deliberately abusive, and they are the opposite of what any kind of neutrality would be. I'm staying neutral by not choosing sides. No, you're choosing the abuser, because when you don't call them out and hold them accountable, you tell them, you enable them, and you tell them subconsciously even that you support the abuse, you are okay with them abusing someone, that you do not support the victim. And often it makes the abuser cockier. They think that you support them or that they're getting away with it, so then they up the ante. Then they get nastier to the victim, and you took part in that by supporting and enabling them in doing so. Not only do you tell the abuser, while staying neutral to abuse, that you support abuse, you also tell the victim that you are okay with them being abused and that you are not an ally. Yeah, sometimes people think if they don't say anything, they don't have to make a decision or a choice. Sometimes your lack of choice, your lack of willingness to speak up on a problem, that was your choice. It was a character statement. It just wasn't a good one. Sometimes people think if they don't have a conversation, they can buy themselves more time to have a conversation, when actually often that's what makes the person who was on the other side of the conversation close the door and not even want to have it anymore. Because why would you want to sit there and have a conversation with somebody who doesn't even respect you enough to have it? Okay, toodles. Good people don't lose people, babe. They lose us. And that's why they've been trying to clamber their way back in to our lives. 131:33. Anything else? I think we're good after this. Sing like the birds, not worrying. I told you about what others think. Be yourself, share your heart, and speak your truth. I'm going to cap that right there. I will do a little bit of Reiki though before we go. Let me put these cards away. Hi, baby kitty. What do you have? You have a toy? You cutie pie. You get a little sharky? Hey, sharky. Okay, karmics are also often referred to as sharks. They're shark-like behavior. Yeah. So not making a decision is a decision. Not making a choice is a choice to keep things the same. Absolutely. First off. As far as abuse goes, so cute. It is a blatant power dynamic imbalance. I'm not going to choose sides. I'm going to stay neutral. Well, that's not neutral. You're choosing abuse because you didn't choose to support or protect the victim. And because that silence on their abuse emboldens the abuser, it makes them cockier. Oh, it can have the opposite effect on the light worker. It makes it harder for them to survive and deal with everything that they're dealing with, especially without support. So that choice to stay neutral, which is not neutral, encourages the abuser to abuse, and whether it's intentional or not, is even subconsciously a way or an attempt to oppress a light worker out of being able to stand up for themselves or speak up for themselves, because it's hard to deal with abuse at all, even when you do have support, let alone when you don't. And you're not supposed to be able to. That's why isolation is another chapter and form of abuse on that Duluth domestic violence power and control wheel, okay? So back to this one more final piece before I cap this off and dive into the energy. Therapy. Abuse is not neutral. There is no neutrality in abuse. I'm just going to stay neutral. I don't want to pick sides. What abuse is, I will repeat, is an imbalance of power and control. If it was a fair and balanced dynamic, it wouldn't be abuse, and therefore you wouldn't need to pick sides because somebody wouldn't need an ally against that oppression. There is no neutrality in abuse. And I'm not making this up, and I'm not saying this because it sounds good. There are a whole plethora of psychology articles out about this. I will link a couple in the down bar, in the description box when I'm done. But this is why, no matter how they try to argue their case and no matter how they try to convince you and other people that they're right, now they feel like their reputations are being marred because the truth about their characters come out, and how they tried to besmirch light workers instead of taking accountability for targeting them or helping people target them. It's why it's unacceptable. Some of these people are realizing, yep, there it is. I was arguing, it wasn't her opinion of, see, they were trying to argue with me because they didn't like the truth that was coming out of my mouth, because it showed them that they were wrong and they needed to change. But when they tried to argue against me, and I hear headbutt against me pretty much because they didn't want to acknowledge that I was right, they were arguing. They were not arguing with me. They were arguing with the facts that I was speaking, and they look stupid, extra stupid now, 136.22, because not only were they incorrect, they were also pretty malicious and evil. Well, cognitive dissonance, heard, yeah. They didn't want to acknowledge that they were wrong and that they were mistreating people. So they decided to bully me for calling them out for it. Bully me for calling them out for breaking the law or colluding and allying with lawbreakers. They chose to double down on what they were doing to claim and prove that it wasn't a problem when it was the whole time. Because they wanted to convince me and other people that I was wrong, but I wasn't, and I'm not. And now everybody else can see that too. They thought that they were all arguing a point together and it would dominate me, but you see, all it took was me, one person telling the truth, and all of them are wrong together. That wasn't very smart of them. Wrong is wrong even if all of them are doing it. Right is right even if it's only one person standing up for that fact and that truth. And guess what? She was me. She still is. Except for I'm picking up, no, you've got support and allies now. Yeah, I know, because my soul family heard me. And they've been watching. Don't be available for shit that doesn't serve you. Nope. See ya. There might be moving. You might be moving and traveling. I need to get you out of there. It sounds like a divine masculine to a divine feminine. Life is too short to let assholes get away with the same old shit. Precisely. Now that Wheel of Fortune's targeting them the way that they tried to spin it against other people. And they didn't have the clearance to do so. There's one thing I'm willing to bet on. It's my fucking self. Their soul family coming through too. Rest is not a reward. You deserve a damn break. You are a creative and clever little fucker. You make absolute magic happen. Oh, I know. Don't mind if I do. Keep reminding him of how fantastic you are. Don't worry, I will. I am. Anything else? I think we're good on that. There's abundance Reiki coming through. There's also perseverance and plethora Reiki coming through. Self-explanatory. Plethora is opening of opportunities or options. Perseverance is to push through. Abundance seems self-explanatory. It's not just money. It's just things in life aligning, flowing. There's her turpitude or moral turpitude as well. And there's sovereignty Reiki coming through. There's a karmic female losing her marbles right now. She's pulling out her hair. I'm gonna go bald, Cynthia. Pulling out her, yeah, just like angry and aggressive and having a tantrum. It's pretty psychotic when I see them do this, but they do sometimes. And they get so angry, they run their fingers through their hair like they're stressed. But then when they get their palms to the sides of their heads, like when their hands are right above their ears, they'll grip these fistfuls of hair in between their palms and then yank them out. I've never seen anything like it. It's psychotic. Like, let me show you. They'll run their fingers through the sides of their hair like they're stressed, but then when they get to the sides, they'll grip in big fistfuls of hair, they'll run their fingers all through it, fistfuls of hair, and then they yank outwards like this and rip either chunks of hair or strands of hair out. It's psychotic. Psychotic. She seems like she needs a mental hospital to me. Somebody says, how are you so calm when you say that? Because I don't. I'm not the unstable one. Gemini is known to go from 0 to 100, pop off when somebody starts causing unnecessary bullshit. I'm also a Virgo. We have very little patience for stupidity and and bullshit. People just repeating the same stupid thing because they don't want to learn the lesson and figure it out. Yeah, I don't tolerate that. But while light workers may temporarily be a wee touch triggered by somebody intentionally trying to be nasty and harmful, they're psychotic. Okay, they're the psychotic ones. They're the ones who are trying to be nasty, who think it's okay to be nasty, or who know it's not okay to be nasty, which is why they're trying to cover it up, but they're still doing it anyway. Because they're unhappy about somebody else's peace or happiness, and they're trying to disturb it. Baby, that's psychotic. Now, we might be triggered at their attempts at abuse, but they're fucking psychotic, whether we're triggered or not. And we can come down from that trigger, but they will still be psychotic. Yeah, because triggered is a response to who they chose to be to us, and psychotic is who they are. It's not the same. Kind of like their cluster B personality disorders are not comparable to PTSD. These people try to cause trigger symptoms or trauma symptoms in people and then say, oh, look, it's mental illness, because they want to try to find crossover symptoms in trauma to whatever their mental illness defuncts are. I say this because cluster B personality disorders in some ways, in some areas, can sort of cross over with a few PTSD symptoms, but many different diagnoses have similar symptoms, but the symptoms don't make the diagnosis, right? Like, somebody can be coughing because they've got asthma, but then also somebody could cough because they have a chest cold, and the symptom might be the same, but the cause, the diagnosis is very different. Yeah. Somebody could have nausea because they've got cancer and are on chemo, and then someone else could be nauseous because they're pregnant. The symptom's the same. The diagnosis is wildly different, isn't it? Okay. So they're trying to create crossover symptoms or nitpick crossover symptoms. But the thing about trauma is that it's caused by an abusive or a dangerous situation, and it's being triggered as a response. It's not who that person is, it's the defense that goes up because of what has happened to them. Yeah. But with the psychotic abusive person, they're just being who they are. They're mentally unstable, which is why they're targeting people. People who have trauma are triggered because they're targeted on that note. People who are psychotic are unstable because they target people, or they target people because they're unstable. It's not the same energy. It's not the same thing. One of them is a mental illness, and the other one is a response to abuse. You can heal the trauma. You cannot erase someone's psychosis, especially when it's chemically imbalanced. You can treat it, you can try to help them get some kind of regulation on it, but you cannot, correlation does not equal causation. Thank you. Yeah, you cannot reverse it or remove it that way. Not like they're trying to compare PTSD or complex PTSD, or I would say probably possibly even DID in some cases too. I'm not as sure about the DID, but I do know that DID often comes after it's a trauma response as well. Complex PTSD is like tier 2 or level 2 trauma. Regular PTSD or just PTSD is tier 1, meaning CPTSD is worse. The symptoms are worse. It has some symptoms that regular PTSD doesn't, and they're more frequent. It's easier to trigger them. It's harder to come down from the trigger with complex PTSD. But DID is different. That is tier 3. I would say that there is very likely, without knowing as much about this as I could, just because of the trauma pattern, ways to heal this or heal this out some. In fact, I know there is, because sometimes when people with DID heal, what are they called? Alters. Sometimes their alters go away. If they're extra stressed or they're dealing with some extra trauma or abuse, sometimes new ones will be developed. But as they heal, they can kind of merge back into the one unit. So I would say because it's all trauma-based, even with DID, I'm sure it's much harder at that point, but it still can be done. You can't do that with somebody who's just chemically imbalanced and unwell as a whole. It's not the same. But I've seen it. There's a particular karmic who laughs about her personality disorders here, which is like histrionic, borderline personality, narcissistic, etc. And then tries to compare her symptoms with the trauma that she's causing people, that she's creating trauma or PTSD or helping create complex PTSD or PTSD in people, and then trying to say that the symptoms of a divine feminine being, let's say, triggered by the abuse and the trauma are her being manic or something. Like she'll be in manic psychosis and she'll try to compare someone being triggered by somebody in manic psychosis being abusive to also being psychotic. She's trying to compare a light worker's trigger to her abuse to her manic psychosis, which is her mental illness and deficit. It's not the same thing. And I hear it. She says, yes, it is. Okay. You notice how I've been doing that lately? Like, okay, I'm not agreeing with them. They're just not even worth arguing because they're so stupid and they're wrong and they don't want to be corrected. They just want to argue even when they're wrong. And so they will continue to do it. They'll argue just to argue, not to learn, not to grow. Why? Why would you sit there and argue with somebody who wants to be wrong? That's stupid. Okay. That's what you need to tell yourself. All right. Stupid. Yeah, resistance to new currents. They don't want to be correct. Attachment to old structures. What is old? Subjugation to matter. Going around in circles, rehashing the same old thoughts. Okay. That's why you're stuck. Relentless struggle to maintain the status quo. So they wanted to be, it's like they want to put themselves above or on the same level as the trauma victims they're creating through this process. It's so weird. It's so weird. But they're not. Trying to hurt people so that you think they're on your level does not put them on your level, bitch. It's why you're beneath them in the first place. Because of that, your character's trash. See, they're trying to destroy the reputation of the light worker by hurting them, but they don't want people to know that they're trying to hurt the light worker. That's their character. They're just ugly. Ugly, ugly spirits. Charlatan, perverted, there it is, misleading spirit, fierce and unshakable traditionalist. I find that funny because they're traditionally incorrect. Emotional and material addictions, talking about what one does not know. Exactly. 9/22. September 24th to September 28th. Oh, well, that would be about the week of my daughter's birthday. And that makes sense because this karmic female has been involved with harming her too. This particular karmic female, in fact, is a pedophile. So there's that. Talks about what one does not know, should keep her mouth shut. Old enough to know better, old enough to be my mother, too stupid and thick-skulled to care. April 27th, July 11th, September 24th, December 5th, February 13th, noon to 12:19 p.m. Now, she may have been a younger mother, comparatively speaking. Old enough to be my mother, but guess what? Still age doable. I was young when I had my daughter too, comparatively speaking. I could have been younger, but infidelity, enslavement, passion, marital difficulty, separation. That's funny because she's been targeting me with a karmic male, and they decided to try to run a smear campaign and cause problems and pretend to be this happy couple when they're a karmic couple. And yeah, well, now that blew up in their face. They have not been a happy couple the whole time. They were pretending badly at that. But even after all of that, it still didn't work, and they're getting divorced. What a waste of time and energy. Also money. Ignorance, error, limited. Oh, and they only got married to try to, I guess, make light workers jealous, and also because they thought that, like, a karmic female, let's say, latching onto a karmic male who was trying to steal and siphon from a divine feminine, especially if there was a child involved, the karmic female thought that she would have more say in stealing from the divine feminine with the karmic male by using the divine feminine's child to do it if she was married to the karmic male. And technically, legally speaking, since they were married, then, I mean, she thought she knew what she was doing. It was for smear campaign, cover-up purposes, and financial monetary purposes. They needed to make themselves seem like a happy couple in order to justify trying to smear campaign and target a divine feminine and her child in a court of law, for example, and then also financially extort them. Stupid. Tendency not to learn from the lessons of experience. Told you. Limited mind. Distance from loved ones. Now people are walking away from them because that's what they tried to get people to do to us. And all those same people that tried to pick fights with me because of the slander from these people, all of them, every single freaking one lately have been trying to come up to me and suck up and kiss my ass, and they've all apologized. I was wrong, they said. I know. That's why I have not apologized, and you won't hear me do it. I wasn't, and I won't. No, I'll be the first person to apologize if I'm incorrect, or, you know, I realize that there's something that's wrong, or if I've made a misstep, I'll be the first person to admit that and adjust and course correct and apologize. But the reason you typically don't hear me do that is because I make a point to know what the fuck I'm talking about before I run my mouth. And if I don't, just like the star in the comment section, if I don't know something, I'll tell you that I could know more about it, or I don't know enough about it, or if I think something but I'm not sure, so to check the facts. But I'm very clear regardless of what the topic is or what the dynamic. If I don't know it, I'll tell you. And if I don't know where to find information, usually I know where to figure it out. Or if I don't know something, I know where to find the information to figure it out. Does not want to learn, negative influence on others or on situation. There's a karmic saying, yeah, well, if you were so good at it, then why haven't you been able to find this and that, or lawyers, or, okay, so here's the thing. Me knowing where to find information or people does not mean that it will magically make everybody do the right thing or be helpful. Okay, I live in a state where this is the only state in the United States of America that doesn't have a civil attorney program, for example. And then when you have people stealing from you and draining your finances to try to make it so that you can't even afford to exist, let alone spend, I don't know, thousands of dollars on lawyers, it's a different situation. I might know where to find those informations and resources and what have you, but are they available to help is another story. And you may not blame a light worker. Well, I thought you could manifest everything. Yeah, I don't force people's free will. You can want somebody to work with you. This is, see, they don't understand manifestation. Told you. You can want somebody to work for you. They might have the resources or the tools or the knowledge to work with you, but will they? And can they? Do they have the space in their schedule? you can't control everything from everybody else. That's those people's free will, and also there is divine plan and path in their life too. And are they following their divine plan and path? So, are there informations? Yeah, sometimes. But are those always available to the person who wants them? No. In fact, because I know how to find information, but the place that I'm in is very limited on those resources. When people from any place, out of country in some cases, definitely out of state in others, come to me and they have a similar struggle, a issue, they don't know what to do, they maybe need a lawyer, I can look up what information that they need. I know how to find resources where they are to help them. I've gotten people off of the freaking street in a different state over the phone because I knew how to pull a few resources together from where I am all the way across the other side of the country. But just because I know how to find resources and just because I was able to find some that were workable for other people does not mean that I can make things be for me. Nor would I want to. You don't want things that aren't meant for you. It's also why these karmics are having trouble. They think they want what they want, bloodlust and bloodthirst, and they tunnel vision. But these are the types of people also who, if they try to force what they think that they want now, later in life something may come around and they realize that they want that more, but now they're stuck in whatever thing that they tried to force, right? Well, maybe in some cases that so-called rejection that they tried to force and push fatefully was for their protection, right? Sometimes God says, I know you think you want that right now, but actually there's something better down the line that you don't even see coming for you yet. 156:22. But you see, they're impulsive and they don't care. So these are people that maybe before they become karmic, or when they're teetering on both sides, when they're being given a choice, they choose not to listen. They choose the dark side. Karmic says, that's not how that works. Okay. Oh, they hate that. Okay. Lies, cheating, does not want to learn, negative influence on others or situation. May 21st to May 25th. Oh, that's about the week of my birthday too. April 2nd, June 16th, August 30th, November 11th, and January 21st, 4 a.m. to 4:19 a.m. The karmic, I hate her. She's right. Told you. Okay. They hate that. Because I know she doesn't really agree with me. She's just saying to agree with me to shut me up because she just, yeah, you're not worth it. Nobody wants to hear your rotten gob. Shut your mouth and stay seated. Next. Karmic. Anything else? Lacking motivation and enthusiasm. Proud, conceited, excessive. I hear not anymore. No, I just popped the bubble in that balloon. Burst that bubble for him. Full of oneself, despotic, difficult to live with, imbalance and excess of natural elements, or their inner correspondence of volcanic eruptions, tornadoes, droughts, earthquakes, and floods. So somebody who's over emotional, erupting in anger, just spinning out, can't sit still, destructive, difficulty with life and ordeals. Ah, what did I say? Forcing destiny. Yep. Because they lack self-control. Told you. November 3rd to November 7th. Oh, well, guess what? I sat in court on November 7th, including with one of the people who has forced their way into this reading. And they lied. Yeah, they lied on November 7th. They did. To a judge under oath, to which I have the court transcript copies of. So meaning I have copies of them lying in my filing cabinet. There's no arguing. It's their words against their own words. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm just outlining the facts, but the facts back up what I'm saying. What I'm saying shows that they were lying, and the facts back that up too. Forcing destiny. November 7th, May 5th, July 19th, October 2nd. This is so funny. December 13th, February 21st. They're in trouble. 2:40 p.m. to 2:59 p.m. Failure, envy, jealousy, pride, slander, extravagance, ambition, greed for power, refusing notoriety. Yeah, they didn't want to acknowledge their nasty deeds, but it's too late. They don't have a choice. That's why they have a mediocre life. They're having a mediocre life. And that's the thing. They're so mad at me for telling the truth. But the thing about me is, I'm a real one, okay? A real one's not going to let you sit there and live a mediocre life thinking you're lit. No. I'm going to tell you, first of all, that you fucking up. That I know you can do better and that you need to course correct. I'm not going to let you sit there and fake flex and look like an idiot. I'm going to tell you, cut it out because you look dumb and frankly, like a fake and a fraud because you are. Next. Wanting only to enjoy physical resources. Yeah. Using trickery to succeed. Perverse work. I told you. Aiming too high or too low. Destruction by lightning. Reprimand from cosmic intelligence and excess. So God's going to cut you down. I hear it's already happening. I know. May 11th to May 15th. March 31st. June 13th. In the afternoon. June 14th. I just picked up a channel. Hold on. Ooh, goodness. Extra emphasis. This just hit the deck. So August 28th, November 9th, January 19th, 3:20 a.m. to 3:39 a.m. I picked up that it was a karmic female in particular, and she's spinning out right now because her finances are being messed with and dwindling, and she's realizing that it's partially karma for targeting divine feminine. And I unfortunately just picked up that her kids seem to be having trouble, possibly behaviorally, possibly in school, possibly with a sickness or something, and I find that really sad. I don't like to know or hear or see about that regardless. Even if it is a karmic's kid, I think it's sad when the kids get affected by their parents' shitbaggery. But I did warn about this, and if their kids are being, with the topic of this karma coming out, if their kids are being affected, it's because of the way that they try to target mine. Or the kids in the collective that I speak for. And I stand here to represent and protect. So what that would be, I would say, if their kids are being universally targeted now, it's their consequence and their karma for the way that they targeted other people and their kids. It's a generational curse that's spilling down, and I didn't want that. I warned them to stop doing this shit weeks and months ago, even years ago for some of these people, before this played out. In fact, Robert Van Horn, a couple of years ago, I picked up that, I do death prophecy and medical mediumship. My OG's here now. A few years ago, I picked up that if he didn't leave me the heck alone, then he was going to get sick. And one day he was trying to bully me through court. And the court date got postponed because he said that he was so sick that he couldn't come to court that day. And it was right after I said that that would happen. In fact, he apparently got COVID. He tried to bully me in court. I told him that God was going to stop him because he was being told to not do that. And he decided to push through anyway, but couldn't come to court because he got COVID instead. Then I told him, a number of months or a year or so later, because I picked this up again. It was coming up again. And I picked up that he was going to get sick again since he was trying to do this still. 163:22. And I picked up that his daughter was going to get sick. And I remember getting upset about this. I do not like it when I pick up that kids are getting ready to catch their parents' fucking karma. It pisses me off. I don't like that. As a mother, I don't care whose kid it is. I don't want to see children suffer. But these karmics are so fucking selfish that they don't care about hurting their own kids while trying to hurt other people. And that's what makes them shitbags. So there's that. So that's why I speak about my own. Because she's being harmed too by the same people who've been targeting me. So nonetheless, I told him, you need to stop because I'm seeing that your child, your daughter, Van Horn, is also going to get sick if you don't cut this shit out. 164:22. And it's upsetting. I don't like knowing that these kids are catching it because of their shitty parents. But all of a sudden, Van Horn could not come to court again, according to him, because not only did he catch COVID apparently again, but so did his daughter that time, just like I prophesized and picked up and warned him against. And there was another incident too. I'll talk about some death prophecy, where Van Horn called the Bar Harbor Police Department to make false police reports about me. Yes, this crooked lawyer called the local police department to make fake reports about me. This was a setup. Because then he wanted the police officer who took these fake reports to come testify against me. As if just because a crooked lawyer made up lies about me and put them on paper at the police department, and just because a dirty cop was willing to repeat that false report to a judge, that I must be the problem, even though it was false reports across the board and a setup attempt. And God said, no. So this dirty cop was getting ready to go drive up to Ellsworth to the courthouse from Bar Harbor. And instead, he couldn't testify. Van Horn had made a false police report to the Bar Harbor police and then subpoenaed this dirty cop to verify the false police report, as if just because he said it, it was true. Slander. Hello. And then instead of being able to show up to testify for Van Horn, this cop and all the other cops had to go on an emergency call because one of their fellow officers was, the freak accident card came out earlier, just freak accidented, right? They were, I think, at a routine traffic stop. If I remember, his name was Luke Gross, Officer Luke Gross, Lukegross. And I don't know if he was a dirty cop. I'm hearing some things. I'm going to be quiet about that for now. I'm hearing he was involved with some things that he shouldn't have been. Or maybe he's just the people. But either way, meaning the corruption in the department, yeah. But either way, he was on a separate call. And I think it was a routine traffic stop, if I recall. And again, whether he was a dirty cop and this was him catching karma for involving himself with this, or if it was just he caught the ricochet of the dirty cops that he works with. I don't know. I heard some things about the first bit. Like I said, I'm going to be quiet about that for now. But either way, kind of like the kids catching, it's not the kids' fault. Their parents are being shitty, and that played out the way it did. But I'm picking up that Luke had more involvement with these groups of dirty cops than maybe I am aware of on a human level. But either way, we'll just let that be. Whether it was a ricochet from the dirty cops around him or he partook in their dirty cop behavior, irrelevant. Either way, he was at a routine traffic stop while this other dirty cop was getting ready to go lie to a judge about me because Van Horn asked him to after Van Horn lied to them. And this is not funny. This part's not funny. This dude was hit by oncoming traffic. He stopped, I think, just to pull over a vehicle, and another one hit him while he was on the side of the road, and he died. He left behind a wife, I believe, and at least a kid, if not multiple. I think he had a son at least. But because this officer was hit and died, all of the officers were pulled off their other smaller duties, and they were called to the scene to help out with this one. So that dirty cop who Van Horn tried to hire to lie about me couldn't show up to lie about me that day because his fellow officer died in a freak accident. And I don't think that was a freak accident. Yeah, but no. I think that was a distraction, right? They were trying to target light workers. God says, you're trying to take out my workers. Yeah? You're trying to take out my fellow co-workers, my Seraphim light worker, my devoted daughter. You're trying to isolate her and knock out her from being an ally or knock out her allies. So here, I'm going to take one of yours out. You'll be too busy dealing with that to bother her today. Luke Gross. I forget exactly which officer it was. I can look it up. I've got the paperwork in the filing cabinet from that day, but it's one of the same ones. I think it might have been Sergeant Brundrett, actually. I don't like any of them. Oh, and my half-sister's father used to be on this police department. I used to have mad respect and trust in the police department. By the way, and P.S., not every cop is dirty. Please don't let dirty cops make you feel some kind of way about every cop. There are good people that go in the system to help people, just like there are, we've got malpractice lawsuits for a reason. There are bad doctors sometimes, but then there are plenty of doctors and people who get into the industry because they want to help people. Plenty of people who maybe went through something medically or saw their family go through something medically, and that's what inspired them to become a doctor or a lawyer or something themselves. Please, please, please don't let the bad ones make you feel like all of them are. Same thing with the psychic realm. I'll be the first person to tell you. There are so many fake psychics who think that, ooh, it looks cool or they can make some money. No. God's gonna cut you down. I hear it's already happening. But a lot of times they click together, unfortunately. Absence of love, possessiveness, jealousy, passion, fear of being loving and being loved. So somebody's asking, okay, so you used to have trust? Yeah, I did. I used to always wave to them, never thought twice about, having to call for anything if anything came up. But that was before I had any interactions with dirty cops. And I also used to think, well, I've not done anything wrong. I still haven't. I haven't done anything wrong. I don't do anything wrong. I don't break laws. These cops have no reason to come after me. I'm not a criminal. But they fucking did anyway. And they tried to false smear campaign me as something that I wasn't in order to justify attacking me, to cover up the fact that they are the criminals that they try to project other people as being. Okay? So yeah. No, would you trust cops after that? Or more specifically, would you trust the Bar Harbor Police Department after that? Because not all cops are the same. It's just a couple shitty locals in a small town with less than 5,000 population. So they think they know everybody, and they think they run the law, and they think they're above the law. And bitch, please, you're in for rude awakenings. I run this small town. Bitch, this small town has a boss too, and I'm going right up the rank. 172.22. You better run. Quickly. God says, there's no outrunning me. No, God's gonna cut you down, because God's got the whole universe in his hands. You have nowhere to run, Karmics. Crown chakra in reverse, and no divine support or protection. Next. I'm going to drop the mic right there. Please remember to pray, do no harm, take no crap, and I will catch you on the next one. I do plan to come back with hopefully a much lighter reading. I'd like to do a love reading soon, but we'll make sure the table's clear first. I will definitely be back with some more energy therapy. In the meantime, take good care of yourselves. And I'll see you next time. Blessings and namaste.